Hey Pence, thanks for the heads up. Yeah, we're chatting with her right now. I think they're trying to finish their run at the moment. Grave and I are on chat. Let me get the stream title.
Do you mind if I share the link with some?
Oh yeah, definitely. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Do. Yeah, Pence, I know the feeling. Oh, okay, Pence, are they worth the price tag for them?
Consume, enhance, replicate.
Nice, dead again. Oh, Pence, if you wouldn't mind, I would absolutely love that. That would be amazing. But I mean, only if that's not too big of a deal for you.
I beat Doom Eternal earlier today.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's even on Hurt Me Plenty. It's really hard. It's not an easy game, but it's really fun. I was when Green and I were talking about what to do for this episode, I suggested we talk about Doom because the lore in that game.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
something else.
and they did a really good job of tapping into it with the quote unquote rebranching of it or restart
Exactly.
of it.
What I liked about it is how it recontextualizes some of the stuff from the early games and even from stuff like the comics and the books and all that, and just gives them new light.
Yeah.
Because we all laughed at the Doom comic, rip and tear your guts and all that. You're huge. That means you got huge guts.
That means you got huge guts.
But in Eternal, that quote is recontextualized, and it adds to the character of the Doomslayer. But I was just gonna. But Green said that we should probably keep it to Destiny, and I was like, can we talk about guns? and here we are.
Yay!
But in all honesty, the guns that we're going to be talking about are actually really good, and I do feel like that we have enough to talk about in terms of what we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, like, for this whole intro bit, and this is something I was looking at in the show notes. It looks like we're going to be talking about our favorite roles, and I feel like that's a good place to start. We can sort of get a good sort of.
Yeah, Green will have some opinions.
Yeah. I'm gonna have opinions too. This is gonna be great.
I will not have opinions because I'm just like, okay, this gun shoots nice.
Oh, great! So it's gonna be the Green and Grave show.
Yeah, pretty much. She was like, we're gonna talk about curated roles. I was like, I don't even know what that is, but okay.
And speaking of which, Loki decided to join the party. Hi, Green.
Hi. I hear you guys are talking about me.
Yes.
I would never. I'm teasing Orchid right now. Orchid right now. God,
Orchid.
Man. Yeah. She said something that I'm holding her. I'm like, if you took that out of context, it would.
You realize she doesn't give 2 cents about things being taken out of context, right?
I made her nearly choke on her food right now. Is what the message,
awesome.
which message I just got back, and I'm like, success.
Oh boy.
Ooh. Okay. So, pulling up the different things. How are you, Gravemind?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
I've been looking forward to this.
Nice. Yeah.
For a very long time. It's going to be great.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to talk about. We haven't done a weapons episode in a real long time, so it's going to be a little different. Yeah. You guys kind of see the show notes. I put the actual cards in the show notes for the advanced episode, and I figured we could talk a little bit about like the concept of the obelisk and what's going on with them and whatnot. So, Blue, I'm sure you filled it in.
We can talk about the quarters of time because the obelisks are technically tied to that.
Yeah, for sure. We can do that. Hey, Oz. Does a tank count as a weapon?
Yes.
You can't get a tank from an obelisk.
If you tried really hard,
if you're really nice to Sloane, maybe.
Or Amanda. She's apparently got tons of them. Unless your name is Cade. Then you're not allowed them.
Well, okay. Would you give Cade a tank?
No, I wouldn't. I would not. I don't blame her at all. I never said that. I love the tantrum that he throws.
All right, that.
Oh my
You
goodness.
get a tank? Where's my tank?
It's great. Oh man, we lost in that last one. That was rough. We had a pretty good run though.
Are you on PlayStation?
Trials? Yeah, Trials was actually a little. It's still sweaty, but it's not. I'm high enough light level that it doesn't hurt as bad right now.
It's Trials. It's always going to be sweaty.
Oh yeah, but like last week and the week before, people were. What's going on right now with the tokens? I don't know. Grave, do you play Trials?
No, but
Okay.
I know people in my clan that play Trials.
Yeah, so what's going on? There's the new token system that you get if you lose or if you win in the first 3 matches. Those tokens are how you get drops from Saint 14 himself, but you have to hit 3 wins in order to get that unlocked. So instead of like Iron Banner where you have to do the whole quest to get it unlocked, you just have to get 3 wins a weekend. Problem is, all of the flawless people will go flawless once, and then they will keep resetting their card and just play the first 3 matches.
Because you can farm Trials gear once you go flawless.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great idea.
Well, you don't even have to go flawless. You just have to get 3 wins, and then you can unlock at least one of the weapons. Flawless is the weapon of the week, the new weapon. So it's kind of a pain in the ass right now for anybody who's just trying, because it's just flooded. It's flooded in the first 3 wins, as far as like people just doing shitty grinding out for no reason. Anyway, that's my rant.
Well, like Trials wasn't going to come back perfect. It was going to be something that is going to be worked on over time. I'm sure that at some point we're going to be complaining about something else completely about Trials.
Oh, hard light. I can tell you, it's going to be hard light. Last week was terrible because we were on Anomaly last week. This week we at least have a fucking shot because we're on Widow's Court.
Oh yeah, there's not as many. I mean, there's some choke points, but there's not nearly it. I mean, it's not it's not a solid choke point like Anomaly is. Anomaly.
The spam is real. The spam is so real. Like I have decided that people who are hardlighters who just spam down a lane, literally, and then they teabag, I have decided that their dick is so small that it's inverted and their mother is disappointed in them.
So what you're saying is you have strong opinions.
I have fucking strong opinions about
Oh, they just knocked me off the map. That was rude.
Iron Banner isn't too bad.
What are your opinions on people who use Monte Carlo?
That's fine. Like, I really don't have too much of an issue with Hardlight if you're using it tactically and you're not just spamming it. It's the people who are spamming it and just covering the map with just lasers.
What about
that's so dumb. Monte Carlo's, that's fine. Like, Monte Carlo's a legit auto rifle. Suros Regime is a legit auto rifle.
Hardlight's a legit auto rifle if you use it correctly.
Right.
But the thing is like... Oh yeah, go for it.
Because I'm a Titan main who uses Monte. Like, I've sworn, I stand Monte Carlo. I stand Monte Carlo since D1. When Monte Carlo was announced to be coming back in Shadowkeep, I was like, my baby's back.
Yeah. And it's a laser pointer. Like, as soon as you get that head bead, you're great on Monte. But it doesn't do nearly the amount of damage as Suros does as a solo weapon. So Monte's a great one to run if you're running in a team or if you have team shots.
Yeah.
Suros is one that can handle it on its own, and right now Hardlight can handle it by its own.
Yeah, Suros is good for doing.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm also that jerk who's running a not typical loadout because I'm running shotgun bow because I love
with the bow.
There's nothing wrong with a bow, and Monarch is still a tank as far as damage goes.
I need to get around to getting that.
I think you'd really
underestimate. People underestimate Monarch.
Mm-hmm. And the tick, I know which direction people are heading after I hit them with a headshot and they get that first burst.
That's what I love about Wish Ender. I ruined so many people's days with Wish Ender.
It's a nice little thing.
I still need to complete Shattered Throne and the other one, the other dungeon. I haven't done the dungeon.
But because Le Monarch is so good, nobody cares about the stag. The stag, it's a good bow.
The one for this in our Iron Banner?
Yeah, so the stag is point of the stag. It's a good bow. It doesn't. Here's my problem with
it comes with Vorpal Weapon. That should say on the bow.
Right, which is great.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Vorpal Weapon. Let me see if I have it on me right now, and I can just tell you.
It gives you increased damage to bosses and majors and guardians
and they're super. Yeah, it's a super shutdown. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, no, whatever.
It's really good perk.
Speaking of that, like Cole and I shut down 2 Striker Titans in a row.
Nice.
With just their weapons. No, like they were both coming at us. They were trying to finish.
I love doing that.
I clipped it. Took them anyway. But Point of the Stag is a great weapon for super counter in PvP. The problem with Stag that Le Monarch has a little bit better is Le Monarch has a slight better aim assist on it. It's stickier. And it also has
heavy.
The stick or the tick. The tick is on it is really nice. Anyway, I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick.
Your rocket doesn't beat my knife.
Can a knife be a gun?
If you throw it in their face, it does.
If you believe. If you believe hard enough.
He loaded his rocket, and I turned the corner, and I was like, "Hi, bye."
Can a fist be a gun?
If you try hard enough, if you're fast enough,
if you're a Titan enough, then yes.
Yeah, that too. Oh, bitch.
Okay, I am back.
You're a dumbass.
Are you planning on playing Titans. Iron Banner during this?
That's what we're doing right now.
Nice. I've already done my Iron.
Oh, I've already done my Iron Banner. I just need 2 more packages to get the Triumph for this season. I figured I might as well knock that out.
Might as well. Okay. Do we need to start up? We need to start up recording on our end, right?
Yeah, if you guys how do we want to do this? Give me a second. Let me pull up Audacity. I'll record on Audacity and then also take a backup on my side too.
That would be awesome.
Oh, you mother.
I'm doing the same right now.
Sweet. So, Grave, what mic are you using for your mic? Real quick.
I'm using a webcam.
Okay. Cool. No worries.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. It sounds like a webcam, so I just wanted to make sure it wasn't an accident, like you didn't have another mic set up and accidentally have your webcam turned on instead of the other mic, which is something I've done on more than one episode on the show. And
I would never would never hold that against you.
You have multiple times.
Why do you sound like you're in a drum at the bottom of the ocean, Green?
Why do you sound like you've been corrupted by the Vex? Oh no, what's there?
Because Green forgot to switch her settings.
Half the time, I'm just glad it's not something I did.
Right. If Le Monarch had a catalyst, I wonder what they would put on it.
If Monte Carlo had a catalyst.
Right?
Oh my god.
It can't get any...
It can't get any more perfect.
And, well, it can't get any more laser pointery. I wonder if they would boost the range on it.
Would they let you actually stab somebody with the knife that's attached to it?
That would be cool. Or would they extend the magazine with the catalyst?
Or would they do something to a Markov chain?
Go away.
Like add additional stacks.
No! I know what they should do for the catalyst for Le Monarch. This is perfect. They should have the bows do a small burst of poison when it hits a wall or something like that.
Ooh.
So instead of you get the burst of poison, of course, for the headshot.
I have Audacity right, by the way.
But it'll be a smaller cloud that erupts.
Right, not
on a wall.
I don't want it to disrupt your movement or anything like that. Not like the hunter bomb, just a small poison if they're standing near it within a certain range. That would be so freaking cool. And dead again, that is terrifying. It does not need truth level targeting. I'm already good with this bow. I don't need aim bot. Anyway,
if you pair the Monarch with Nezarec Sin on the Warlock, you pretty much never have to worry about your abilities ever. Like, you're always going to have them.
interesting. I have a pretty decent setup for my abilities anyway, because I run the Night Stalker. Anyway, we should start the recording because Blue is wanting to start the recording, and Blue has to go pick up Minion tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, I'm good to start whenever.
All right, so
yeah, I'm ready. So
cool. I'll do a countdown, and when I say click, we will go ahead and click all at the same time, so it's fairly synced up for Blue. Here we go. We have 3, 2, 1, click. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay.
Yep.
That out of the way, and then I'm gonna start the backup as well.
Cool.
And I've been recording for like the past 17 minutes because I'm just that paranoid.
Okay.
So just so you know.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
Ready.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on March 27th, 2020, over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This week's episodes are going to be focused around exploring the weapons of Season of the Dawn, or Season of Dawn, I guess. There's no "the" in that one. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the intro session of the week's exploration. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
And this is the Trials by Fire, or by Void. I guess it's more by Void. Green-Eyed Music Lover.
And then last but definitely not the least, in the hot seat as guest co-host, we have our good friend Gravemind. Grave, how are you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm the Gravemind, and I am the monument to like a few of your sins, I guess.
A few.
As long as you're not a solar system-sized one. You know, that's
not all. Not yet.
As long as you don't metamorphosis into a key mine, we're okay.
Oh, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Just, I'm still a proto. Just give me a couple of thousand years. And I'll be...
Fair enough. Green, I'm going to unleash you.
Oh, unleash me. Oh my. I don't know how to feel about that. Anyway.
Noted.
Gosh.
We'll use that as going forward.
Right. All right. So, Grave, I've actually only started seeing you kind of in the Twitterverse probably the last like 6 to 7 months. I've seen you really hit up a lot of different people on the same circles as me. So my question to you, since you're kind of a newer voice in the community that's really starting to stand out, what is your favorite lore story in Destiny? Like what about you? I would like to sit down with a cup of coffee with you and figure out what is your favorite lore story.
Are you going to ask me for dinner first?
I mean, this is kind of how lore masters ask each other out to dinner.
Yeah, she doesn't play that
way. If there's butter gators, we are all on for dinner.
Well, in that case, I'm going to figure out what butter gators are. My favorite lore story. It's always been Dredgen Muir and Shin Malphur.
Mm-hmm.
But that's always everyone's favorite.
Right.
But for me, it really does resonate with me because there's something about that story that just moves me to tears. Like that showdown at Windward's Ridge, like how the writer describes just the emotion Shin feels as he's moving to light up his golden gun.
Yeah.
There's something about it.
How do you feel about the developments within that story where Shin is now kind of not necessarily a dark character, but a character that's more Willing to be an anti-hero.
Oh, I love it. I think
Okay.
it totally makes sense. And I think it totally adds to his character. I think the stuff they've added to that since reintroducing Last Warden Born,
Mhm.
it's such an integral part because we finally have more answers to what happened after that. What happened after Yor died? And we have this whole elaboration on, and we finally have a tie, like a stronger tie to that in game through the Drifter and in his story.
This is true.
And I love that fervor connection. It's the closest I think we're going to get until they add Shin as a vendor. And that's the only way that they'll further strengthen that.
It's true. I'm interested to see if they're going to continue that story at all at this point, because it feels like it's at a fairly natural stopping place, in particular with Shen.
Well,
but
and in John's
I feel like if they ended on here with Lumina, it'll be on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
And John has said that he purposely ends each installment of them, where if they choose not to continue, in the next DLC, it's an because he said that. I mean, he's gone on record saying that the story that he has for Shin will probably never get the full ending that he has, just simply because it's quite extensive. And but that's why he writes it the way he does, with each installment kind of being a self-contained story, is so that it's not a cliffhanger that's not necessary, basically.
That's true. Well, okay, so here is my follow-up question. Is the story of Yor and Dredge and Shen, which is accurate actually, even though no one ever calls them that, is that the story that got you into lore, or is there a different story that kind of pulled you in first and then you ended up stumbling upon the Dwindler's Ridge story later?
Well, the first story that actually got me into Destiny from a lore perspective was Vault of Glass, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Pahanan and them.
Yep. Specifically Kabir.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about Kabir's fall that, again, it kind of drives me to tears, because the Vault of Glass was my first raid. And I actually ended up getting a lot of the Kabir's armor set.
Nice.
And on that first run. And that was
on your first run?
Yeah, on my first run.
I
kind of like the chest. Okay.
Lucky. I never got, was missing so many of those armor pieces, and I never got Vex Mythoclast. I never got that weapon. Granted, I didn't raid that much, but jeez.
Oh, the ship? Wow. Yeah, that was the difficult one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my first run too.
Nice.
I didn't even know what I was doing in that. I don't think any of us knew.
That was definitely a raid you had to have everybody know what was going on.
Yeah,
and
everyone knew what was going on except me, I felt. But then again, the team that we assembled wasn't a typical LFG kind of thing. I was kind of roped into it. I was just doing some stuff around the tower, and these guys kind of invited me to a party and said, "Hey, we need a 6-man for Vault of Glass." And I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Okay." And we did Vault of Glass, and when Dark Blow hit, we did Crow's End.
And those days.
And then after that, we never saw each other again.
Those days
the true raid LFG right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, no LFG external site. We didn't even use Bunny's app. We just found each other in the tower. We were in the
That's
same
awesome.
instance.
You know, I think that may have been something more common back in D1 because I haven't had that happen in D2. I've had people reach out to me in D1. That's actually kind of, in some ways, one of the things that my old clan back in Xbox used to do. Karen, she is notorious for wanting to invite blueberries into our party, and then she's kind of obnoxiously like, "Hi, what you doing?" And
Hey,
she, yeah,
You
she
know?
makes friends that way. It's great. She's more of a extrovert than the entire clan put together at that time. So
sometimes
it's
that's what
good.
you need, though.
It is. It is. So, last question for you before we get into kind of like a crazy off the wall type question. What is your primary class that you play? And then on top of that, what's your primary subclass?
If you had asked me that during Forsaken, I probably would have said Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
But since Shadowkeep, I've gravitated back to my Titan. And I've always been a Titan main since D1 or D1 beta.
Now, very important. Are you Peregrine Greaves Titan? Are you Sentinel Titan? Are you which Titan are you doing? Which burb are you participating as?
The one that vomits light, or the?
We're gonna have to explain that joke here.
Oh my god! I'm gonna refer to all the subclasses as this
Which
now.
one gives you the need hardest? Peregrine Greaves.
You want the Greaves? Oh, okay, so here's the next question on that. Are you grieving on Striker or are you grieving on Sentinel? Because I think you can.
I grieve on Striker, baby.
Okay. Nice. There are fewer and fewer of those around, I feel.
We're a dying breed, but we are still very full.
You know, I'm okay. I'm okay that it's a bit of a dying breed because do you remember Season of the Titan where it was the super would last for days
Ever.
at that point? Oh my god! And you could get spawn killed by the same super like 6 times.
It was a
Oh
good
my gosh.
day. Those were good days to be a
So frustrating. So I made a reference a little bit ago. This is kind of a breakout type thing, and I'm going to put it in our private chat for you to see. A friend of mine suggested this Twitter account because there are
fair
birds.
warning. This Twitter account is dangerous.
Yeah, this is one that's not going to go into the show notes, so you don't have to worry about that. Or if you really, really want it, just ping at me or just look at some of the people I followed recently. But there is really good art on here that is not NSFW, that is birds, subclass birds. And it's kind of hilarious because the Striker Titan is like this blur of a bird trying to go down. And then like the arc ones, the arc subclasses are the best in general because pole dancer for Hunter is literally a bird spinning around a pole that's stationary. And then the warlock one is this bird just vomiting arc at other people. It is so good. It's like
I think I see what you want.
It's one of my happiest moments lately. It's like, you want to talk about a happy Destiny moment? This is definitely one of them.
Shoot the whoop! Shoot the
Mm-hmm.
I'm rejoicing that if I was this person. Oh my god.
It's great. But okay, so crazy question.
Oh boy.
If you could embody any animal, but still have your Titan super, which animal would you embody?
That'd be a bear.
A charging bear?
Bless
That'd be a bear.
Why a bear? Like what kind of bear? A Kodiak bear? A grizzly bear? A polar bear?
Grizzly.
A teddy bear? Okay.
It'd be a mix between grizzly and teddy.
You are such a Titan.
I'd be a huge softie, but I hit hard. Of course, I'm a Titan main.
Yeah, you were definitely a Titan. It's funny because you have like friend of the show, Beard Grizzly, who was a warlock for so stinking long, and now will never turn away from Titan. That is his main.
Oh,
at this
really?
point.
That's
He switched to Titan
hilarious.
about a year ago now, and he has not gone back. Like, he is full Titan now. It's great. Oh, you're playing with Orchid. That's what's going on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Cool. So, Blue, I know you're probably in the middle of a match or getting ready to start up another match, but I'm gonna toss it back to you with any special announcements we may have.
We don't have any special announcements other than just like a repeat of the one that we had last week. Just about, keeping safe. Everyone, let us know if there's anything that we can do to help, whether that's a chat, shoulder to talk to or ear to talk to or a shoulder to lean on, whatever. Obviously we're here to make sure that everyone is as happy and as comfortable. Remember to wash your hands, be safe, stay at home if you have the option, all that stuff that you're hearing everywhere
all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Everyone's telling you.
I think the more important thing.
Also just chill.
Yeah. I think the most important announcement that we have with that is that remember to have fun during this. Like, it's really easy to not have fun and to worry about a lot of things. And
feel free to turn off social media.
Yes, 100%.
It's a staycation. Think of it as a staycation.
Right. And now that things have proceeded the way they have, I think it's a little bit more easily able to relax and breathe a little bit. My wife has smiled genuinely for the first time today in about 2 weeks. So really, really figure out your routine, find something to be fun or have fun with, even if it's like puzzles. Like, there's been a huge boom in puzzle sales lately.
I can't imagine why.
I mean, it's kind of cool. I grew up doing puzzles with my grandmother, so it's not a foreign thing for me to be like, hey, I want to get a puzzle and put it together. But it's just find something to relax with that is not a screen. Like, if you are a screen person and you get energy from it, great. But if you are somebody who gets drawn in and sucked like the energy out of, go paint, go draw, go draw in the dirt. If you're not good at drawing on paper, just figure out something just different.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you just want to spend time playing games, Doom Eternal came out.
Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing came out.
Yep, and Doom is really fun. It's fun to rip and tear. I'm struggling right now.
There's amazing Animal Crossing memes right now too.
Doom and Animal Crossing is one of the most wholesome crossovers. Like, those subreddits have like single-handedly restored some of my faith in humanity because the joke is that they released on the same day, or they both came out on the same day, and everyone was like predicting this huge fight between, because the Doom subreddit is not for the faint of heart.
It's a little darker. I mean,
it's not
the context of the show.
Yeah.
It's darker.
And they like wholeheartedly just embrace the Animal Crossing community. And and Animal Crossing did the same thing to theirs. Oh my god, it was it's just adorable. And the crossovers have just been they're great memes. But yeah. Other than that, we just have our standard housekeeping notes, and then I'm actually going to probably be I know you guys said something about curated roles, and I stopped listening. I warned Grave beforehand. He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna talk about this role and this role." I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Like,
we're gonna talk about like suggested roles. It's fine, Blue. It's fine. We're gonna walk you through it. It's not gonna be hard.
Oh no, it's mostly because I don't pay attention to them.
Yeah, it's okay.
Just don't worry about it. We'll hold your hand. Okay. Just don't mess it up.
Come, my child. Let me show you the wonders of what these perks can do on these different guns. Oh boy. Okay, so the time lost weapons I'm assuming I'm good to go, right, Blue?
Yeah, I mean, really, the only thing I would say, I just wasted that. The only thing I would say is we are just keeping it, as the title of the show does kind of suggest, we are keeping it to season 9 or Season of Dawn. So,
Sure.
But that being said, if there is a specific weapon, or, I know we have Rhino does the Destiny Armory Defined, and he does quite a bit on weapons. If there is a gun that, or a weapon that you prefer, or you will really, really have like strong feelings of, let us know in either comments on Podbean or comments on the YouTube channel, or, we'll put this up on the blog as we usually do, and just give us a comment there. Because it's definitely really cool looking at like some of the. I don't really look at the technical sides of weapons as much as I look at like the historical connections for like the Destiny Armory Defined and stuff. But it's interesting seeing all that, because I know what is it, Mercules, and is it Fallout that does a lot of
Fallout does a ton of weapon testing, and there's a lot of people who do weapon testing videos and whatnot. Fallout's probably the most notable. He'll actually go in and do clips in the Callus menagerie. I guess it's not the actual menagerie, but it's this trophy room, right? You can spawn enemies over and over, and you can test out weapons in there.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I mean, that being said, if there is a weapon from another season that you guys have, like, you guys want to talk about, please feel free to use the comment section to do exactly that.
Or for lore purposes as well. Anyway, go for it, Grave.
Yeah. Also, I also want to mention there's a DCP, the Destiny Community Podcast. They started another series talking about
that's right.
weapons specifically. Called was it Firing Range?
Yeah, I want to say it's like it's something like Firing Range or On the Range or something. I think it's Firing Range.
Yeah, I'm like those guys, Cool Guy, Fallout, Mercules, they all get together and they're actually radioing and they talk about different weapons and different weapons in general and Destiny and how
they're kind of they're taking a little bit over the void of what happened with Crucible Radio.
Yeah.
But that being said, that brings us into the time lost weapons in general, or like the Season of the Dawn weapons. They are weapons that we have had in the past, most of them, some of them are new, that have been lost in time and we're able to access through either doing specific missions for like the exotics, or even through the obelisk by doing these miniature quest-like things. If you were around during the Black Armory days, you had those little quests to get the Black Armory weapons. This is a similar take on that, but without having to go and do forges, which I appreciate.
And later on, as the season was coming to a close, there was a fourth obelisk. There were 3 obelisks. Tangle Shore, the EDZ, and on Nessus. And then there was
Mars.
And Mars. And there was a 5th one at the tower. As the season was coming to a close, you could donate the currency of the season, fractaline, and you could actually donate to the Imperium Foundation, which would later give birth to Trials, as is now, and and you would now and any bounties you had, any weapon bounties you had, if you donated enough fractaline, you would actually complete whatever weapon bounties you had.
Yeah, so it was 25% of the weapon bounty done for every grouping of fractaline you donated at the time, which was great. It allowed you to get a lot of different weapons and get your perfect roll for the weapon. And one of the things we're going to talk about a little bit during this introduction episode, which is a little less, it's going to be a little less lore heavy. Second episode is going to be the more lore heavy as far as like the advanced episode for the week. This one, we're actually going to talk about a few suggested rolls. Now, I pulled these specifically from, and I feel really kind of sheepish, the fact that I pulled it from Forbes, but I did pull it from Paul Tassi, I actually agree with a lot of these rules. I think they're great, great balancing things, and especially for PvE. There are a few rules in here that I would say that are PvP rules, but some of the PvE rules that he has are really, really good. But
Yeah, and there were some that I have personally used because I personally think that the weapons from Season of Dawn are honestly some of the best we've had in the game so far. Like straight up.
yeah. Let's see here. So the very first rule that we're going to talk about the Tangled Shore weapons that we were able to get. Now, I'm only doing the time lost weapons that are kind of like the primary weapons. There are some that do not have lore. I'm not really touching on them as much, but I do have some rules for that. So Breachlight Sidearm. Sidearms back last season were good. They're better this season. So if you are a sidearm lover, you really want to pick up a sidearm this season. Drang is deadly. Breachlight's deadly. Traveler's Judgment is kind of stupid in the best of ways. So if you're a sidearm fan, now is the time to try it. But in the Breachlight sidearm, you have a few different roles that are really great. Outlaw and Rampage. Always good kind of ones to have, Outlaws, because you want that speed reload and everything. Outlaw and Multi-Kill Clip. Outlaw and Vorpal. Now, Blue asked what Vorpal was earlier when we were off air, and Vorpal is actually a really cool perk that's come to light in the last couple of seasons. It allows you to do more damage to people who are in their supers if you're in Crucible. And remind me, Grave, what it is in for PvE, because I'm gonna have you do a little bit more of the PvE side. I'm a little bit more PvP, unfortunately, so
That's
I'm
what you
not
kill the
as
Jabberwocky
wasted.
with.
The Vorpal?
The Vorpal sword. That's what you kill the Jabberwock with.
Oh my god.
That's actually a really cool
That's
reference that I had not
that's
thought
a
about.
reference. That's a reference.
I like it.
All right, that's my contribution. I'm done. Bye.
Okay, so Vorpal Weapon. Vorpal Weapon was a perk that was introduced last season, and it came with a lot of the new weapons that were introduced last season. So Vorpal Weapon does bonus damage to bosses, and it kind of also does bonus damage to mazers, but not really. It's really minuscule in terms of damage bonus, but against bosses, it's really good. Glad, I remember this one clip. He was testing a sidearm in like the tribute hall against the ogre, simulated ogre, and it shredded. Like I believe it was the Breachlight as well.
Nice.
It's stupid good.
Yeah, it is a really good weapon. Another role that Paul had on his article was to use Demolition and Vorpal together. Demolitionist is actually a really underappreciated one because that helps you get your grenades back faster. Grenades are some of the most powerful tools that you have in both PvE and PvP. It's a really great tool for PvE especially. Demolitionist and Rampage, you're just gonna burn through all of like lost sectors and stuff like that without any trouble.
Yeah, and Demolitionist, it gives you extra grenade energy back.
Mm-hmm.
And reloading allows you to reload the weapon.
So sidearms, one of the things that they buffed the last couple of seasons, if you are a listener at the show and you're not necessarily a huge sidearm fan, I really encourage you to pick up one, whether it's Anonymous Autumn, which is a great one, Breachlight, which is a great one, and just run around for a little while with it. They actually feel more akin to hand cannons in so much that they can melt as fast as a shotgun, and they have a longer range. They're kind of that extended range past a shotgun.
They're a shotgun counter.
Oh yeah, they're a great shotgun counter. They're actually, I think they would replace Recluse. If Recluse wasn't so prominent in the SMG slot, you can easily replace Recluse with a sidearm, especially if you have a full auto sidearm
or one of the burst ones, like Last Hope or Last Dance.
Ironically, The Vestian Dynasty has not been that prevalent lately, and it used to be the sidearm I would use all the time. It's not nearly as good as it used to be, but Breachlight is a great one to pick up.
My only complaint about Breachlight is the kick.
Mm-hmm.
It kicks like a mule.
If you have a handling mod on it, or not a handling, masterwork,
Yeah.
mm-hmm, that makes it a lot nicer. Range masterwork or handling masterwork on sidearms is great. So I'm gonna move on to an auto rifle. So Tangled Shore auto rifle was the Steel Feather Repeater.
My favorite one.
Yeah, out of all of the time lost weapons, or
out of all time lost weapons. Like,
oh,
Steel Feather
really?
is my favorite.
That's my favorite one too, because it's the only one I got.
Oh, really?
It's really good. It's really good.
There's some good ones this season too. Like, I kind of want to dig into this season weapons as well.
Yeah, like the Seraph weapon.
Mm-hmm. The 7 Seraph weapons are pretty good. There is a auto rifle that's
the 7
specifically
Seraph. Oh, go for it. Sorry.
I was just going to say that the auto rifle that is not the 7th Seraph one is also really good, and it's kind of annoying because I had a team full of them in trials tonight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're not going to.
The 7th Seraph one I got is like a laser beam. Like it. I don't know if it's just because I don't know if
Auto
that's the
rifle buff?
archetype. Yeah, I don't know if it's that archetype or if that's just the specific role I got. But I pull the trigger and it doesn't move, like at all.
Fast.
Yeah, I think that might be precision because Steel Feather is a rapid fire.
Mm-hmm. Oops, I'm sorry. My dog decided he wanted to say hi.
Hi, doggo.
Yes. So the rapid fire auto rifles are definitely, I think, a harder hitting, ironically, than the heavier hitting ones. Like, I used Tiger Spite all through Forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
That was my baby. But it doesn't hit nearly as hard now compared to some of its faster firing cousins. So I like the faster fire ones. Suros is a great one. The spin up Suros is deadly as all get out. Anyway,
Monte Carlo is great. Mm-hmm.
Steel Feather Repeater, though. We should actually talk about the time lost weapon.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about it.
You can't tell I like talking about guns. Steel Feather Repeater auto rifle has a few really, really good roles. One of them is Feeding Frenzy and Multi-Kill Clip. Another one is Subsistence and Swashbuckler. Swashbuckler, I personally have not ever really played around with. I don't know. What are your feelings on that one, Grave?
I haven't really started to use Swashbuckler until I got some weapons that came with it last season.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I see Swashbuckler is, it's obviously it got nerfed. You deal.
Well, it had to. That and 1-2 punch were way overpowered.
Yeah, and I feel like if Monte Carlo came back during that, it would have been, Gambit would have been a pain. But anyway, Swashbuckler on Steel Feather is really good. I actually added a role in the show notes that I have used. Mm-hmm. I've been using a lot lately. Mm-hmm. And that's Grave Robber and Swashbuckler.
Okay.
And you heard me talking about Monte Carlo earlier, and I basically I say with Grave Robber and Swashbuckler on Steel Feather, it's basically a legendary version of Monty. It's not a bad role at all, and it's one a lot of players tend to sleep. If you want, if you don't have Monte Carlo yet, then getting any auto rifle for that matter, but specifically Steel Feather with Brave Robber and Swashbuckler is really good.
Okay.
It frees up that exotic slot too.
Yeah, that would. And having an exotic primaries slot, I really shy away from using an exotic primary anymore. I pretty much almost always just use a secondary exotic. It's just so hard to justify it, but I don't know. The Black Scorpion is the callback weapon that we had back in year 1, I want to say. Black Scorpion 4SR.
Or D2, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. It was one of the beginning weapons, if I remember right. One of the ones that they used for the beta. It's been a while.
I think it was a beta one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
it was the original release. It was in the original release, I believe.
This one is definitely one you want Zen Moment on. It's going to turn it into more of a laser pointer. It is also, I believe, naturally a full auto scout.
Yep.
And then you want either Rampage or Outlaw on it as well. I would prefer Rampage for a PvP loadout rather than Outlaw, though having the fast reload is nice. But that's just me. I like being able to mow people down after a few kills and just continue to mow them down for
I was
a
gonna
while.
recommend one with rangefinder.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad one. I don't know. I don't ever really look for a rangefinder on a scout rifle, though it makes sense because if you are pushing the range of the weapon out, it actually increases the accuracy, which is one of the weird ways that Bungie.
Increases the stickiness. The
Mhm.
main emphasis on it.
Mm-hmm. So there's that. Mars, I don't really have. I don't know. I hated the Mars weapons, not gonna lie. I've been
Mm,
farmed with them a few different times. One of the Mars weapons was Martyr's Retribution, which is the grenade launcher that makes everybody angry because it is the one where you shoot fire at their feet and it creates basically the grenade line that
from a thermite grenade.
yes. Though it doesn't make the same sound as a thermite grenade. I don't think it's nearly as loud.
I think it's altered slightly.
Okay.
I don't
So
know. I don't main Sunbreaker with thermite grenade on it.
that's
I
true.
typically go fusion.
That is another option for those of you still chasing mountaintop, like I am, because I hate grenade launchers and I refuse to put on a primary or secondary grenade launcher.
It's a pretty slow one.
This one's a second. Yeah, this is a secondary grenade launcher, so you're going to have more ammo availability. So
But,
that's
but I think it should be interesting to note that Martyrs is actually the debut of a new frame of grenade launcher.
Oh,
Wave
really?
frame. Yep. We have
I-
never had a wave frame before in the game.
Interesting.
So and what wave frames do is like you said, when you fire it, the grenade instantly explodes on the ground and creates this line.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll be interesting to see if we get more grenade launchers like
It would be interesting to see if they institute anything similar because there's no besides the void wall. They could do a void grenade. They have that animation
love
already
that.
set up.
Oh, love
They
that.
don't have necessarily an arc thread like that. Like there's never been an arc grenade that does a trail. I mean, there's obviously arc web, which can go die in a fire.
I like an arc. I like arc grenade. Like an arc grenade.
That would be interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's the secondary grenade launcher that you get from the season. There is Line in the Sand linear fusion rifle. I saw this quite a bit last season. I really haven't seen it much this season. I don't know if backup mag was such a big thing for such a long time. And I think that was one of the things that you just really want to have on any fusion rifle at this point because it just increases that fire rate so much. But I don't have any roles that I was like, I really want or I really know that would be great on that one.
But Line in the Sand is
Or
kind
backup
of
plan.
It's kind of interesting. It actually has a fairly decent damage output, and during last season, it was how I saw after PvP linear fusion. The problem is linear fusions are linear fusions, so you tend to treat them like they're heavy sniper rifles, but they don't really do a lot of damage that heavy snipers
headshots, they're great. And that's probably why we saw them last season, because that was the way to get Komodo. That's why I saw it. And Black Flag is sent me one of his favorites, which is rapid hit and firing line.
Yeah.
So
and that's I'm also going to link this video Dado did with damage tests with multiple different line in the sand rolls, including ones with firing line, and they're actually pretty decent.
Cool. If you can send that to me in our DMs that we got going on in the other chat, I can put it into chat for you.
Will do.
Thank you. All right, so the repeat or the kind of time lost weapon that was back from D1 really showed up actually with the Drifter, and Gambit was Bygones. Everyone has their favorite Bygones. There's pretty well established following of what is good for Bygones and what is not. A lot of people have their own flavor on which they like. You go find what you like with that one. There are plenty of those out there. Going to Nessus, we still have 2 more locations to go to. Nessus, I do have quite a few suggested roles. We have Patron of Lost Causes, the scout rifle from Nessus.
Love this gun. Love
Yes.
Patron.
Now, I can't remember what fire rate this gun is.
It's a lightweight. It's the same firing rate as Mida.
Okay, so this is the one that's pinging you from across the map pretty easily. And so if you have rapid hit and Vorpal weapon, you can actually help melt down a super very, very, very quickly.
Also good against champions. Very good against champions.
Rapid hit and explosive rounds basically gives you Dragonfly. Explosive rounds I have mixed feelings about, personally, because it's a delayed damage. It's great, but it's also kind of a mixed feeling in PvP when there's milliseconds between kills.
It also steals your kills for that type of weapon. Wishender does that all the time. I get so annoyed by it.
Oh, Le Monarch too. Anytime you have a certain type of burn or a tick afterwards, timed payload also does this. It will steal. If you're
also increase flinch. That's a big thing in PvP.
Yeah, for snipers. Snipers are such a big thing now. That would be great for snipers. Against snipers. Full auto explosive rounds, full auto and Vorpal weapon. Full auto on that scout rifle is really nice. It fires very quickly, so it actually fires. It reminds me of a newer version of the what was it? The Black Scorpion? No, what was it called?
Or was it?
Yeah, Black Scorpion.
Or Randy's.
That too. It was the place of that. If you never got Randy's back in would have been season 8.
Yeah, you can still get it. It won't count. This won't count towards anything.
The Triumph.
Yeah, it won't count towards the Triumph, but yeah.
But all right, so here's the one that everybody has. Here's the one I've been waiting for. We talked about how great Breachlight was at the beginning of this episode. Now we're getting to the one that is a PvP god weapon. This has been used successfully against multiple teams, not just against me, not just against my clan, but also against many people who do trials carries and done fairly successfully. Traveler's Judgment.
Yeah. It should be working on Traveler's Judgment. Back then, this was a year 1 weapon technically. It was introduced in Curse of Osiris. This was one of the prophecy weapons.
Yes.
And this is one of like 2 or 3 prophecy weapons that came back in Season of Dawn.
Absolutely. The rules that you want to find for that for PvE is Feeding Frenzy and Dragonfly. If you are a PvP person, one of the rules that's really great is Rapid Hit and Tap the Trigger. It's kind of an underrated one. Really, honestly, with the boost to sidearms, most anything with a rapid hit for sidearm is going to be really good in PvP. Auto-loading holster and disruption break is great for popping shields for your PvE. So if you're going in and doing a nightfall, that's actually a nice way to do it. Or if you're doing these bunkers, and there's the what are they called?
The anti-barrier champions?
Yep. The ones that sidearms are one of the ones you can put mods onto this season. Sidearms and submachine guns. This is actually a really great one to take into a bunker to help clear it much quicker.
It fires in 3-round bursts too, so think Last Dance.
Nice. Last Dance is good again too. That one's interesting to see.
So why they brought that one back too.
Yeah. All right. So last one for Nessus is Jack Queen King 3, also a weapon from Curse of Osiris. This one has been brought back with not really a whole lot added to it that wasn't there before. The Swashbuckler is a possible role you can get on it now. Swashbuckler and Substance. It's actually a pretty decent role. What did you put something down for this one, Grave? Good amount of fun rolls here outside of the usual outlaw combos. Yeah.
Subsistence. Again, I never really Swashbuckler until Season of Dawn, and I stan Swashbuckler, obviously. Now, just because the damage boost is so good, I believe it's one of the easiest ways to get a damage boost off a weapon. You can easily just either keep shooting and you'll get an increase to Swashbuckler, increasing that damage bonus, or you can just melee kill an enemy and you'll get a full charge that way. It also doesn't just increase damage to your weapon, it also increases damage to your melee, which you're going to be doing a lot if you have Swashbuckler.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings about Swashbuckler on hand cannons because I don't generally close that tightly with hand cannons against an enemy. Sidearms seem to be a more natural fit for me as far as that range, but it is a really good combo to have Swashbuckler on because of how hard it hits. If you are quick with your aim down sights, or if you're good at even just hip firing. Demolitionist and Rampage, another good one, and then Demolitionist and Firefly. This one's really pretty good in PvE. It's okay in PvP. Not the best hand cannon there. They're still going to get out.
It's middle of the road. Overall it's an okay hand cannon.
Yeah, it'll still get outclassed by Last Word, Austringer, and Luna's Howl, or the one that I can't actually get because I can't get through comp without getting angry.
We're not going to mention that weapon that shall not be forgotten.
Basically. But all right, so 2 more weapons. EDZ.
Yep.
Gallant Charge Fusion Rifle. I saw this quite a bit last season.
Gallant Charge. I never really used Gallant Charge a lot.
Again,
go ahead.
It's okay. It's got a decent charge time on it naturally, and then if you put backup plans on it, it's pretty nice. The range on it still isn't nearly as far as, say, an Erentil, or obviously your linear fusion rifles are going to have a much longer range, but it's a decent one. The last weapon that's available is Infinite Pass 8, another Curse of Osiris weapon. It's a pulse rifle.
I do not like Infinite Pass.
Pulse rifles, pulse rifles are in a bad spot right now. I feel
it's not even like pulse rifles in general. It's just the lightweight frames, and that's what Infinite Pass kind of falls into.
Yeah,
because
it just tickles. It's
also jumpy. It's also very, very jumpy. If you don't have even with a counterbalance sock.
I can see that.
It's not good. It's not a good dueling weapon in PvP. It tickles enemies in PvE. I have like 1 or 2, and they don't really do much for me.
I gotcha. Yeah, those. I mean,
they look great in shaders, though.
Which one was? I'm sorry.
They look great in shaders.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I have one in Burnished Streams. Looks really good.
Some of the weapons just look good in different shaders. Some of them don't. I'm looking at you, Anonymous Autumn. You look like crap in every shader I put on you. But so those are kind of the different weapons you could have gotten from the obelisk. As far as the obelisk themselves, they were pretty easy to put together. There was a mission that you had to do, not too terribly difficult. As far as connecting all of them, I kind of wanted to bring up the question to you guys on why specifically those locations. Do we have anything from the mission or the lore that you guys can think of that would dictate EDZ, Mars, Nessus, and I'm blanking the last one, Tangled Shore.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking about this like the other day, and I saw when I was like doing these, I saw like the obelisks were like they had like a beam that was pointing, and they created like a hole in the sky. Yeah, and if you looked, like I was wondering, okay, where these obelisks are also pointing somewhere, and we also found out where they were pointing towards. They were pointing towards the lighthouse, the new lighthouse for trials. But in terms of like the locations, I don't really know. Like, I would have to speculate maybe they would have something to do with the maps in this first run of trials for this season.
Okay.
But
So.
But then again, like last week, we had the anomaly,
Mm-hmm.
and we never had an obelisk on the moon. But,
No, we did not. Though,
so I don't
I
really
mean,
know.
if you talk about some of the different locations, EDZ connected to, well, think about Rasputin right now. We had EDZ so far for Rasputin and the moon for Rasputin, locations that the war mine bunkers were. We also have that map in the bunkers that kind of shows that there's possibly bunkers on all the different planets, including some of the moons. Obviously, our moon in particular has one. But with the obelisks themselves, Osiris never calls out that I can remember why these specific locations. Now, he always talked about why he's doing it, why he's connecting all these places, but I don't know. Blue?
It's kind of was like LOL video game.
Yeah. Blue, do you have any idea besides just the video game reasons?
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like obelisk in Egyptian mythology are, there's the adult version of what they stand for, and then there's also the connection to Ra and the sun disk, and there's a lot of different iterations as to their meaning. But as far as like the connection, the connection here, I think it's mostly, hey, we have these maps and we want to give you a reason to go back to them more than anything that I've seen.
I mean, the Vex are not on the EDZ, so it's not like that is the reason for that one to be there. They are on Nessus. They are
and
on
I mean,
Mars. No, they're not on Mars.
I think there might be, you could maybe make an argument that they're touch points in the time loop, but that being said, they never got used for that.
Right.
So it's hard for me to say that that's the reason.
It's also a matter of Corvus time. Like the obelisks were actually very important in solving phase.
Well, no, but I mean, like there weren't like touch points that we went and corrected. Like it wasn't like Saint 14 where we actually interfered with the time stream. It was more about protecting the time stream from being manipulated, which, I mean, that could be the point too.
We did kind of interfere with it a little bit. I mean, we went in and did that very first mission with Saint 14 with the spider walkers, right? Like that was
right.
Paradox. We gave them the bird paradox they gave to us.
Right, and I mean, I guess the argument you could make is that the entire premise behind us setting up the obelisk and the sundial in general was to prevent the Super Saiyan sisters from messing with the timeline.
That could be.
And
also,
so
the
I'm just trying
creation
to think
of the Imperial Foundation and rebuilding the lighthouse, using all that energy to rebuild the lighthouse.
Which, given the new lore of the lighthouse, I'm not really sure why we did that, but that being said, there's that too. I'm trying to think though if there were major touch points maybe on those locations. Maybe there are obelisks on every location or on every planet, and we just didn't trigger those. I mean, there could be a lot of, just because we didn't interact with something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that for whatever purpose, it wasn't necessary.
Right. That's fair. So from there with the obelisk, that kind of brings us.
Yeah, Doom does make a point that Cabal were present on all locations that the obelisk.
That's fair.
Yeah, that should be.
That's interesting, especially considering that the Cabal are actually not a super influential race at the moment.
Well, but that war during Season of Dawn because of the Scions.
Right. I was about
Right.
to say because it was the scions more than anything
Oh, that would make more sense. Okay.
because
So,
they were messing with because again the Super Saiyan sisters.
right. Super Saiyan Sisters,
They do the merge
Super
dance.
Fusion.
Super
They do
fusion.
the merged. Yes, they do the
Fusion
fusion.
dance. Fusion. Ah.
Except Io, which has a Vex structure there. Right.
Yes, yes, I listen to Dragon Ball too. Okay.
Hey, DBZ is a good one.
It is a good one. It's good. It's really good.
All right, so here's my next question for you. Time lost weapons in relation to the actual time lost puzzle, the puzzle that we had to go through to get all the lore for the season.
This is my favorite part.
All right, I'm going to let you go on this one and just ask questions to help lead on it. So,
Okay. Basically, what I want to talk about in terms of corridors of time, just what did you guys think about it? Like when the puzzle was happening, like, what was going on in your head when it was happening?
I personally thought it was a little frustrating when it was fascinating. It was fascinating to start seeing the map reveal itself slowly, right? Like that's the whole point of it. And then you had the community involvement with putting the puzzle pieces together and finding the missing ones, and then basically code breaking to get the other ones. That is interesting as well. It was a really well designed community event. The Not gonna lie, running corridors of time over and over and over again was not my favorite. Mainly because of the rooms being static rolled, essentially. Like there was not a huge amount of variance between rooms. Like
It
you
was
could
very
run.
easy to get yourself turned around.
It is, but it was also really easy just to run through everything. Like you didn't have to kill everything. There was not a huge thing, which is granted is
I made
great
one
for.
run that I didn't kill anything in.
Right, which was great for the farming of the maps. That was absolutely excellent. The fact that it wasn't incredibly difficult. But the thing that I found really kind of the balance was off, I guess, between the exertion of the group putting everything into it versus the singular reward of what you get towards when you run at the end on your own. Like everybody's puzzle pieces didn't exactly matter in some ways, which is hard to do in a game that is played with as many people as possible. But I don't know, it was not a bad execution, just an interesting take on their execution. Don't know if I would suggest
It
doing
felt
something
like
like it again.
it felt like another take on Niobe Labs, but
Yeah.
a much more successful take on it. But it still kind of faltered a little bit in terms of giving everyone something to do. Because I feel like the polarized fractaline donation drives for trials was
Hmm.
much more successful take on it. They just took out the puzzle element and just made it a community effort to just donate fractaline.
Yeah. It just wasn't as fun to play as it was to see the community work together on it.
Now, here's another question I want to talk about. And this is just a general thing about the course of time.
Hmm.
And I want to present this theory to you.
I'm sorry?
I want to present like a little theory
Okay.
about the quarters in general.
Okay.
The what we see certain vex in the quarters, certain types of vex. We see descendants and precursors.
Hmm.
We saw those same vex in the Vault of Glass.
Hmm.
If you
We see
remember.
those same ones on Mars in the first mission on Mars.
Yep. And I was thinking,
Or not Mars, Mercury. Sorry.
yeah, in the first Curse of Osiris mission.
Hmm.
And your ghost makes mention that they're the same vex you saw the Vault of Glass and you did the raid.
Right.
So I was thinking, there's got to be a connection between the corridors and the vault, right?
Well, I mean, it's a type of X technology that is time fluctuating. So yeah, I would agree with that. That the vault has its particular function and time, or the corridors has a slightly different function.
Well,
and also
but if you
the gate thresholds are also similar to the glass throne at the end.
well, because if you remember, the vault was the confluence of the corridors.
Oh, was that actually something stated back in the vault?
So it was described as the confluence of time. That's what a confluence is. It's a connecting point for all the corridors and travel ways. So if you have corridors of time, then you would have a confluence.
Yep. And what I'm thinking is the corridors of time are like pulling back the curtain and seeing like the machine, or it's like the other side of it's like when you crack open a computer like case and you see like all these bits and bobbles and wires going everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
My question. Like this was that.
My question with that though is that if the corridors of time that we had here do have more of a bearing on being related to the actual vaulted glass, those are what is the purpose of the corridors of time? Is it literally just a house to traverse through time? It is literally the stepping. Is it the steps?
I would imagine if there's going to be an explanation behind it, yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah, but the thing about that is the corridors of time that we went through were specifically Mercury's corridors of time.
Right.
What I'm thinking is, what if every planet has their own version of it? Like if you were to build a sundial for every planet, they would see a different version of the corridors of time.
Right, which I mean, you could argue is what the obelisks are.
The start of it?
Well,
but the obelisks are created
point.
by...
It's a touchstone, a keystone to basically that particular planet. So you would have different keystones for different waypoints that would connect the... I mean, it's a common theme in like when you have multidimensional fiction. You'll have a lot of references to keystones, or a Dark Tower series does this quite a bit with Keystone Earth. Keystone Earth is the center point at which everything else branches out of.
But when you're walking through the different areas in your Dark Tower series, there's like the wasteland, sure, but there's not a very unified walking through area.
Currently there's not. So, but also remember that the Dark Tower multiverse that we experience within the stories is a broken down one because the time has passed on. And so in its heyday, there were corridors between the verses that allowed, the different factions to traverse those. And so you would have different waypoints within those multidimensional points that would allow you to travel from one dimension to the other. That's how Walter O'Dim was able to jump between, Salem's Lot and Wastelands and Oz and all the different Kantoi cities.
So it's just a path, not necessarily an established path.
I mean, that part is, I think it depends on the type of fiction that you look at. But I mean, you look at how, Black Flag just mentioned, Skolas pulled the wolves through time.
Right,
so he
but that's what Vuru's asking.
He used Venus's corridors of time.
But that's what Vuru is asking in chat, is when Skolas did that, when we were on the Citadel, was he literally walking through a corridor of time like we did when he was pulling the wolves through? Or was there something totally different available to him?
I think he was using something different because he was using tech from the Vaulted Glass.
Well,
but if the Vaulted Glass is the conflux...
I think that it would be similar. I mean, I would also preface my response with, we don't know, because we don't know what...
These are speculations.
Yeah, these are definitely speculations.
But the connections are there to...
Yeah, I would...
dots there to make connections.
Yeah, I definitely think that it would be a strong possibility that what we're seeing is a bringing together of at least an explanation of how the Vex supposedly do the time stepping that they do. Because if you also think about it, these corridors of time would technically be outside of time. So when you talk about, taking this example of Skolas, if you say that Skolas walked a corridor of time, to us, when we're fighting him, they just kind of appear. We're really big differentiation.
Right, but that's
He
my
could have
question.
made an
we-
exodus through it, but to us, our perception, he was just an
Right.
instant.
Yeah. Stepping in and out of it.
Right. He literally, it's the whole analogy of time as a stream. He literally took a step out of the stream, took a step back, got what he wanted, took a step back, and then came back into the stream. But to the people who are in that stream at that moment, as soon as he steps out, and from that point to the point he steps back in, you know, there's nothing to say that it could have been years, you know, but
Right.
it's like a Doctor Who episode, like, you know, and like Doctor Who, that's kind of how I approach Destiny's time at this point, because it's like Doctor Who. It doesn't necessarily have to make sense as far as like quantum physics or anything, because at the end of the day, it's just meant there for a storytelling aspect.
Right, for sure. It's just fun to speculate on what it would possibly
be. But I honestly think that with the introduction of the corridors of time, and with everything that we saw with the Vault of Glass, you know, I do see a strong correlation between all of this stuff, and that would make sense to me, because again, we're talking about effects.
Right.
So that's the common theme, if you will, between all of them.
Cool. Well, I don't want to go too much further into any lore stuff until we get into the advanced episode, because I have a feeling we're going to keep hashing this out there, as well as kind of going through the weapons in particular.
Yeah, especially with time loss, like.
Mm-hmm.
But so shout outs for the intro session.
Yep. Grave, do you have any shout outs for the first session?
Shout out to AJ. He was in the chat a little while ago, and I think he's still listening. So hi AJ, it's good to see you. He's a good friend of mine. And shout out to my clan, the Moon Cowboys.
Nice.
They are the biggest bunch of idiots I have the honor of playing with. They are honestly the most chill group of people. If you want like a chill group of Destiny players who do Nightfalls, Trials, and all this other stuff together, they're your clan. We don't raid a whole lot, but when we do, it's a pretty good time. We look us up on Bungie.net, Moon Cowboys. We have a Discord server that we use to sort of organize ourselves in, and one of our guys will link you to that.
Nice.
When you want to, if you feel like joining our little family.
Awesome.
But yeah, other than that, those are my shoutouts.
Cool. I have two this week. Shout out to Blue for letting me finish. Sadly, letting me finish my trials card for the evening with Cole, and we ended on a loss, unfortunately, but it's fine. We're gonna get back in there. And shout out to actually the Red Jack Network in general. That is my clan that I'm currently running with. It is the clan that Issacol created, and kind of my core group is in there: Cole, Dwyer, Wicked, myself, Raz. A lot of Hydra has actually switched over to this for now, just because we have a larger group to work with. There's over 300 members, all on all different platforms, ranging from raid teams to PvPers. There's some pretty intense PvP players in there, all the way across the board. PvE, PvP. Everybody's helpful. They also do kind of Jackbox game nights and stuff like that. Really active kind of group, funny and silly. But if you are interested in that, hit up redjacksnetwork.com, I think is what she made it as far as the website. Red Jack Network. I'm going to look that up real quick so I give you the right page. Yeah, redjacknetwork.com.
We can link it in the show notes too.
There's no S on it. Pretty easy. I'll put it in chat. I'll put it in show notes for you. Pretty nice, pretty easy to get into as far as fun types of things going on. Lots of people just being nice to each other, but also being competitive. That's okay. You can be both. But yeah, those are my 2 shout outs for that. Blue, shout outs for you.
Big shout out to Orchid for putting up with me running Silent Iron Banner with her while you guys chat about guns that I don't understand.
It's okay.
And big shout out to Green and Gray for chatting about guns that I don't understand, because
we like guns.
I can tell you about the Snicker Snack, but I cannot tell you what a Vorpal roll thing.
Vorpal weapon mod.
That one. I don't know what that does.
I guess
other than kill a Jabberwock.
It does a lot of damage to the bad things that want to hurt you.
Yeah, it should be a one-hit kill.
AJ said that he got that.
Oh yeah, the Alice reference. Yeah, I was like, yay! But yeah, big shout out to you guys. Good.
Totally a different intro session than normal, but I like it.
But this is our closest attempt to doing Crucible Radio. We're never going to get.
Right?
Pretty much.
This is
pretty much.
Focus Fire Chat Radio.
Pretty much.
A really janky version of what those guys did. Anyway, we're trying.
Anyways, thank you for your time, and until next time, remember, with wisdom we conquer. Stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring. And I'm going to shoot this guy before I stop this recording. Ha ha! I win! Oh shit.
By the way, nice golden gun takedown on Citadel. I saw that and I was said something. You're not Citadel. Yeah, I guess it is called Citadel. The Dreaming City map.
Oh yeah. Did you see the one where I ran in? They were taking the point, and I was like, "Oh look, all 4 of you!" And I blade barraged them. Oh shit! That's a tank.
Should I stop recording now and just start up a new one?
Nope.
No, but I mean, if you did, you can.
Okay. I'm just gonna keep going.
Okay. Yeah. Just keep it all in one.
We generally do a giant file, mainly because we like to have any of the outtakes and the in-between stuff. Which is something that Guardians of Lore, by the way, do fairly regularly. They have a lot more of those, like we used to when Justin was on, because Justin's way funnier than I am.
The outtakes?
Mm-hmm. Just the silly, funny outtakes that are fun to listen to, or like just the people saying stupid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give me something to drink. Give
me
1 second.
No, you're good. Take your time.
Come down God damn it. You didn't come down the steps. Come down the steps. Oh.
Blue.
What?
Sometimes, you can... Well, I guess you discovered this the other day. You can bow melee and kill.
Oh, yeah. That's like my preferred way to kill people. I run at them, pop them in the face, and then pop them in the face again.
I think that was my most proud moment of you messaging me about bows, is the fact that you discovered that, and it's like, oh, yes, bows are the new shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you have Oath Keepers.
Orchid was just saying something about how she's still on the SMG bit of the whatever the quest is. And I was telling her, yeah, I have the annoying thing of like, I'm not amazing, but I've played, mostly I blame Super Fiesta. Because if you give me a specific loadout, I'll grumble about it, but you make me play a couple games with that same loadout, I'll figure out a strategy with it. Like, for sure. That's Super Fiesta. It's like, I don't know what I have, but it makes things go boom.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on fusion rifle kills? Fusion rifle kills that took me a couple games.
Hey, what? Congrats to Wicked. Oh. Huh.
What I hear is that Blue has untapped potential. Yeah, put me in Super Fiesta and let the entertainment begin.
Yeah, put me in Super Fiesta and hear the bitching begin.
Right. Hey, AJ, how you enjoying the podcast?
Jay?
What?
AJ.
AJ? Oh, Applejack.
Yeah.
I thought you said Hey Jay, which Blue's name is Jay.
No, I was talking
Nope, you're good.
to a friend of mine.
You're good, you're good. Ah, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Stupid barrier knight. If I could complain about any current type of enemy, it's these barrier and overload enemies. Like, I don't mind it.
Overload champions on the
Bunkers.
the fallen captains.
Yeah.
Worse, because you want to know why? Overload shot.
Transportating all over the place.
Yep.
Yeah.
They teleport all over the place.
I'm not a huge fan of it. If you have a lot of room, they're not bad. You can get away with it in like nightfalls and stuff like that if you have space, but the bunkers are not super difficult, just grindy.
Yeah. Well, you only have to do them once a day.
Oh,
This is true.
pins. That would be absolutely terrifying.
Destiny needs the answer. Remind me of what the answer does.
Answer is the explosive machine gun. It's the saw that has exploding bullets.
It's the cursing super good advice.
Oh, that's
yes.
About the one from Halo 5. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the one that you can look at somebody and put 3 shots into them from across the map and they die.
Yep.
Whereas when Ben and I run into it, all we hear from the other person is screams because it's like, oh no! All right, you guys good to go?
Yep, Blue. I do have the cards in the show notes if we want to actually read through them and stuff like that. Do we want to divvy them up? That was going to be my first question. Do we want to read them because they're generally not terribly long, or do we want to just kind of dive into discussion on them? I know you're playing with Orchid.
I was going to say I can, if you give me a heads up, I can try to read them. I mean, I can read them.
Right, I could possibly keep an eye on your match and see if see.
No, I mean, I'm more than happy to read them.
What are you doing, mate?
That's an ogre.
I really should play with you guys. I'm on PS4, so
I am as well.
yes.
God, that's a bad ogre. I'm running away. He can't fit through that door.
Is it a barrier ogre?
It is. It's not a barrier ogre. It's the freaking unstoppables.
Oh yeah. Throwing knives, stagger them like nobody's business.
Also hammers.
I am running.
That's what I found out today.
Void walking hunter. So I
don't even know what to do with that information.
Not void walking. Whatever. I'm tired.
I'm really scared about that.
Are we talking about a hunter that knows no?
You know how amazing that would be?
That would be amazing. Oh my god.
It would also be terrible in Crucible, which is basically what is the freaking? It's the Night Stalker class, but it's the hunter that everyone hated, Spectral Blades.
Is that when a Voidwalker and a hunter do the fusion dance? Sure,
yes.
that's what we call that. That's what we call it now.
No,
do the fusion dance.
What they do when they have the earrings. That's one when they had the earrings.
God. This guy is so freaking no! Stop it! No. He won't stop coming. At me. Freezing.
Don't stop coming.
It's just he's standing at the door waiting for me. You're a jerk.
I hate when they do that. When there's it's like, when did you get strategies?
He's like, there's a curse thrall around the corner, and the ogre is standing there too. It's like, guys, this is not nice. Do I need help? I mean, I always need help, but I'm okay. I'm just I
That
can't
good.
stagger him with the hand. I can't stagger him with the stupid hand cannon.
Oh god, that's a Voidwalker.
So right now I'm just trying to hide. Yep, that worked so well. I died.
It happens.
Fuck.
Ow.
Is that what a ogre's purple beam is?
Oh, please tell me that's... Oh, that's our guy. Thank God.
Okay. Let's try again. Hi, fucker.
I see your nicknames for them are about as good as mine.
I would like it if you stopped. You are choosing not to stop. You are supposed to stop with the stupid... I have the mod on here. I just can't do enough damage with it.
Oh,
Just
nope,
pick away
nope,
at him.
Nope.
There we
Damn
go.
it.
I just pick away a little bit at a time. Thank God
telling
they
you,
don't regenerate.
Blade
There we go.
Barrage's triple blades staggers them.
There, got it. Dead. He's dead, guys. I got it.
Ready to start the second episode.
Sure. Hopefully this wizard is not nearly as bad.
I would love to do another one. Like, if you guys were willing to have me again, I would love that.
To do a which one? What?
Yeah, if you guys were willing to have me on again for one of these, I would gladly do it.
I'm sorry, I missed the topic or what you were wanting to talk about.
I'm just another one of these podcasts. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I would love doing them.
They're fun. They're fun to do, that's for sure. Let me check schedules and stuff like that. That's always kind of the thing. I try to space people out as much as possible without getting too terribly crazy. But I will definitely have a call out for that once we get closer to like September because we're booked out quite a ways at the moment.
I'm saying, like, if you guys need another person to do this again, I'm open to any time.
Cool. I will keep that in mind.
That's a dangerous thing to tell Green.
Yes, it is, especially if we have people who have other things come up and stuff like that. You have no idea what you're roping yourself into.
I know exactly.
But all right, Blue, I am ready. I got all the bad guys killed. They're dead.
Awesome. All right. Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on March 27th, 2020, over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat, as we continue our discussion over the weapons of Season of Dawn. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the advanced session of the week's exploration. Congratulations to those who signed up for a deeper dive. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
And this is me. Green-eyed music lover.
I was about to say, did you just forget?
Oh my God.
And this is me. I'm like,
you guys,
awesome.
you ask if I have these like titles and names that I've given myself off the top of my head. If you've ever wondered,
Green, are
yes,
you okay?
I'm fine. I have been in isolation for so many days. I'm fine.
I'm fine. But definitely not least, in the hot seat as guest goes, we have our good friend Gravemind. Grave, how are you doing? Do you know who you are? Do you know where you are?
No.
I need an adult. I am an adult.
Hi, I'm the Gravemind, and I am the monument to a few more of your sins.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I also a few of you since last time. Now a few more.
A few more.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
See, I'm still growing.
Oh god.
I'll
This
become
is
a keen
gonna.
one these days.
Oh my god. This is gonna be a thing, isn't it? It's gonna be.
It's definitely
Well,
gonna be a thing.
as you can probably tell, Green and Grave are eager to continue the discussion, so I'll let them get right into it.
So, Gravemind, how similar are the obelisks to actual Gravemind from... Never mind, I don't want to go there. I
Nope.
really actually don't. I don't want to go there.
I don't like how
Yes.
you're. I don't like how you're assuming they have sentience.
Because they
Yeah.
totally do. Because
No.
we set boundaries from them.
So,
Anyway.
yeah, so last time on the show, we actually talked about a lot more of like the usefulness of the different time lost weapons and the roles with a smidge, a spattering of the actual lore tied into it and some theories. This time I actually want to kind of go through the reading of the different things and just get a better feel for the actual lore tied to these weapons specifically. A lot of the weapons are their lore's been around for quite a while, so it's not necessarily tied to the season per se, but there are some newer ones that do have new entries for us to dive into. And so, the breakdown that I want to do for this, I would like for Blue to read at some point, but Blue is in the middle of the match, so I'm going to try to catch him in between matches when he's loading in. So let's have Grave, if you will read the first one for Breachlight, and we can do a little bit of discussion on that. And then we'll do... How many minutes do you have? I can't see your timer on your stream.
8.
8 minutes. All right, so we're going to try. Blue is playing.
We're gonna try.
PvP.
I like how this. It's like
Play it by ear. We're fine.
Yeah. So go forward on Breachlight for me.
Okay. The flavor text of Breachlight is: it has been melted and reforged many times. The lore tab is as follows. I find it odd, the cycle we are in. I have died many times, reborn anew, the fight pulsing through my veins. Vex with your mind shared, must also know the sensation. Fighting to die, dying the fight. And over. I wonder what they know that I do not. Did their calculations ever have them toward their point? We share this perpetual sequence in our encounters, and there is no common ground outside of our mutual past. I die again. The anger rises. I fight back harder, wiping out the entire squadron with their units. More arrive. I die again, ready for my resurrection. Saint 14.
So this one's nice because it's actually one of Saint's weapons in particular, one of the newer lore cards for the season too. A breach, if you guys remember from D1, the Cabal breached the Dreadnought by basically ramming their ship into it. So a breach is a break into an area, and breach light would be, this is kind of taken on an interpretation of the flavor text a little bit, is I'm thinking like a welding cutter that's cutting through like a door. So the breach light is the light that you see of that welder coming through a little bit. So that's a little bit of an interpretation on it. What are your guys' feelings on that? If you think I'm way off base, or it's very possible that that could be it.
no, I think that's accurate.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
or
think that's
at least
accurate.
along the lines of something.
I think it's interesting that so far, like all these weapons that we're talking about are all modeled after parallel. So it kind of blends into how much we meant to Saint 14 when we first met him, gave him the purpose. And he modeled all these other weapons after.
Yeah. I mean, this is just kind of a description of how he's going through his own things. It's just a very basic Guardian description. I don't know if there's anything in the lore card itself besides that series of descriptions.
It does offer his own philosophy regarding the Vex, like how we're not so different from them. In that
Right.
sense.
And I think that ties into kind of Green what you were talking about with the definition of breach, because not only is breach like the actual breaking into a wall, or it's actually a gap in a wall, barrier, or defense that is usually made by an attack from an enemy, but it also, another definition of breach is like a breach of contract, which is when you break or fail to observe a law, agreement, or code. So I think that could be another kind of nod there to excuse me, to what Saint's talking about, is that he's looking for that breach, if you will.
He's looking for the break in the whole
Vex.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like the Vex form a wall, basically a mental wall with all their minds, the network, and so if he's looking to find a breach in that network, then that's what the light.
He's looking
could
for a
do.
hole in the wall.
Right.
And if he doesn't find one, he's gonna punch. He's gonna make one. He's gonna punch it.
Mm-hmm. Or headbutt it, or grab a goblin and wrap it around it and then headbutt it.
Well, that too.
Or then pick up a pigeon.
No, he won't headbutt
And then
a
let
pigeon.
me pet it.
And then
I didn't say he.
You do not. You do not. This is not like Bud.
He's going to pet the pigeon.
Was it gun not like Bud?
Gun not like Bud. I love that. I love that he's saying as your trials hype.
Speaking of that, we have Steelfeather Repeater. Blue, do you want to read this one?
Yeah,
Since your match just ended.
Yeah, Steelfeather. Steelfeather actually, like, I really like the name of it too. The entry is there. Oh wait, hang on. Am I reading the right one?
There's strength and delicate things.
Yes, there is strength and delicate things. I feel the recoil of the weapon and loosen my grip. The more I fight it, the more it fights me. I choose to let it lead. It finds the milky cores and bursts them with a satisfying combustion, radiolarian fluid glinting in the light. It guides me as I support it. We work in tandem, a brilliant dance of destruction, leaving nothing but ruin in our wake. Nothing can stop this union. Saint 14.
It's a very accurate description of what it's like to fly around the home.
Yeah, that's really, yeah. And again, with, Green, like what you were talking about with the breach light, with the name Steel Feather, it's the combination of like something that is strong but delicate. There's strong, and that's the the flavor text, strength and delicacy. A feather is very delicate, but steel is not. And so if you have a steel feather, it's a delicate item, but that has strength to it.
I mean, if it's a steel feather, it's still gonna hurt if it hits you. It's
but
gonna hurt worse if it cuts you.
Right, but that's the point too, right? I mean, what actually that reminds me of is like I think it's Assassin's Creed 3, where you actually get the throwing knives that are like feathers.
The fletches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're actually designed to be, they kind of look like feathers. And it's, you get that a lot with like, as you get more advanced craftsmanship within metalworking, you'll have a lot of times where your blades will have that kind of that filigree looking or filigree pattern to them. Damascus steel, for example, has the inlaid, the kind of almost like oil on water type thing.
It's folded. It's like waves upon the sand kind of thing.
Yeah. But I mean, but that's a very unique thing to Damascus steel. Is that particular? It's almost like a wood grain to the metal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I really encourage you go look up Damascus steel. It is beautiful metal. Mm-hmm. It's also extremely durable and very, very expensive to make. There's a reason that swords with Damascus steel are very sought after.
Yes, katanas and all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about Black Scorpion back in the first episode for the introduction episode earlier this week, or if you're in the chat tonight, earlier, about an hour and a half ago. The Black Scorpion does not have any lore entry like a typical one. It does have flavor text, and it is mainly just I attack from the shadows, I never miss. Pretty easy to say considering like scorpions, how scorpions work, and yeah,
There's also a pretty
terrifying.
general philosophy of how Weiss, like flavor text on Weiss weapons are. Like they're very, they have a certain motif about poison animals. Whatnot.
Yeah, this kind of that green, that's like snake venom aspect to it for sure. All right, so Martyr's Retribution is the next one that we have. That is from Mars. That is the grenade launcher that has lore. And in Martyr's Retribution, it says, "That which returns from the void will always seek revenge." Which, considering how many times I've been killed by this gun, is fairly accurate.
Well, it's also a martyr.
Also that. So the actual text reads, "There seems to be no end to them. No matter how many I destroy, there are always more. An infinite, ceaselessly multiplying array of circuits and fluid. New units replace their ruined predecessors, forming out of sapphire transmat clouds. They want me dead. They won't stop until I meet my demise. They perish. For all their vast knowledge, they seem to have one blind spot. They should know by now. I also want them dead. And I won't stop either." Saint 14. Saint 14, a titan, stubborn. Gonna keep hitting, gonna keep popping a bubble, going to keep going until they figure out how to get the Martyr Mind. If you guys remember, Martyr Mind was the one who actually killed, quote unquote, Saint 14.
It's also the one made specifically to kill Saint,
Mm-hmm.
and literally no one else.
And so we have the Martyr's Retribution now. Surprise,
Well,
surprise.
I'm trying to
and
get
the,
like a bigger picture of Saint and his efforts to fight off the Vex during his time in the Infinite Forest, like during all this. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get like a bigger idea of what exactly he's been doing during this, and that's killing Vex, obviously.
Well, he's been killing Vex, but he's also been, I don't know. With him, I think there's less of a grand plan as there is with like Osiris, right? Osiris has, or at least Osiris acts like he has a plan at least. I'm still not entirely sold that Osiris has a plan, though.
I think, well, I'm not going to comment on that.
We're
mean,
gonna get into that in a few weeks.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about that with Trials and Tribulations, especially.
Mm-hmm.
But with Martyr's Retribution, I find the name extremely interesting because so like a martyr is someone who dies for, their
A cause.
belief or cause, right? And if you look at the definition of retribution, retribution is punishment inflicted on someone as vengeance for a wrong or criminal act. So it's revenge for the sake of justice. Not just so like there's a difference between revenge and retribution in the sense that revenge is usually not it's not necessarily described with a moral undertone. Retribution is a moral response to a action taken that was incorrect, I guess would be the simplest way. So, but if you have a martyr's retribution, I'm curious, do you think that means that it's because the martyr's dead, right?
Right. Well, the martyr is a guardian, so the martyr is not dead.
Well, but I guess that's true, yeah. I was just thinking like in the general combination of those two terms.
Right.
Also,
and
can a guardian be a martyr?
Yes. The guardian can still die for a cause, and Saint in particular can be a martyr. Saint was a martyr for
that's true.
stinking long. until we obviously saved him from the corridors of time, which is,
Which begs the
again,
question of, if you save a martyr from death, is it still a martyr?
I mean, he was.
Or do you become a martyr saving the person?
I think it really depends on whether or not the including of being dead is necessary for the aspect of martyr. Whether or not, I mean, you could still be I don't know. You can act like a martyr and be alive. That's
correct.
not like you can't.
That is true. There is a statement, or a phrase about that. But I mean, I guess my point, kind of sort of tongue in cheek point there, is like, if you prevent the person from dying for the cause, I'm not
Are
saying
they
that
actually
it's
a martyr.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you would. They're still defending a cause. Like, I'm not saying that. It just makes me wonder when you say martyr's retribution. I mean, a martyr is someone. If a guardian would be a martyr, to kind of go down the path of this logic, it would be the person who actually returned to light. It would be a true death, because they usually, the reason why is because a martyr believes so strongly in that particular cause or their particular faith that they are willing to pay the ultimate price for that.
Which is accurate for really Saint, I think, more than anybody, because Saint.
I would agree with that. Yeah, because Saint was actually, until we intervened, Saint actually did pay the full price.
Right.
Which then goes back to my head-aching philosophy question of, if you negate the
wibbly
death,
wobbly, timey wimey.
It totally is, because to me that's the first thing that comes to mind, is like, if you save the martyr from death over the cause, does that lessen his or her sacrifice
by doing it? No. No takesy backsies.
You may continue, Grain. You win this. You win this argument.
Grave, you're up. Let's move on to Line in the Sand.
Oh boy. Oh man. Oh god. Anyway, the flavor text for a Line in the Sand is no farther. The lore tab reads as follows. The Vex are oppressive. Minotaurs fall over themselves to get the jump on me. I've exhausted my options. I need to use the distance to my advantage. Peer out over the rock's edge. They seem to have lost me in the scuffle. The gentle hum begins, and I feel my weapon charging begins. I take out 2 with the first shot, another 2 with the next. They scatter now, confused and irate. They seek me out desperately. All I can offer is another barrage that depletes their numbers, creates more scrap. The last 2 couldn't get within 10 meters of me. It's a small victory, and that alone was more. It helps to set boundaries. Saint 14. Does he have a roll with ricochet rounds? Like, what? When your fusion pierces multiple targets?
Actually, a lot of them will do that. If you line people, go into a private match, take a bunch of friends, and line them up, and then headshot the one in the front, and just have them all in line, you will actually overpenetrate and kill multiple targets at the same shot. You can do that with certain bows. You can do it with certain fusion rifles too.
I know you can do that with Super Simulant, but I didn't know other one did that.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember the one that we used to use. Arbalist will do it too.
Really, Arbalist?
I think so. Trying to remember if they've nerfed it and whatnot, but yeah, you can actually overpenetrate targets and continue through, I believe, up to like 6. It just really depends on the weapon strength and how far away you are. But yeah, this is actually a real thing you can do in game. High impact fusions will. Thank you, Pens.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So interesting to know that Saint 14 uses a fusion. I don't know. I I always thought of him.
I always thought
Shotgun.
of him
Well,
Yeah,
and remember
shotgun and a
too.
rocket or something.
Remember too from like the original Saint 14 card, he has a Vex weaponry. He tells Geppetto to ready his Vex weaponry or his Vex arsenal or something. Like, I mean,
Right.
But hold on. Infested potato. Sleeper will kill the enemy in front of you and kill the dragon. You ain't going right.
I mean, it's true. Oh, Sleeper. Bank shots. I still want to see somebody. This is, if you are a listener and you are fun, like to do bank shots and stuff like that, I want to see a listener bank shot Sleeper through a hallway on any PvP map and hit 3 different people that way. Like, it has to bank off of multiple walls and hit 3 people. Make this clip happen.
Have you ever played the Sleeper Roulette, where you
is it like Battleships?
And, oh no!
Because that's a fun one to play.
Sleeper Roulette is when you get you get a bunch of people inside War Dawn, and they all have Sleeper Simulant, and they shoot.
God!
They shoot the shield inside the War. That's it's not. Does
it work with Hardlight too? I want to see Hardlight do this.
Yes, it does work.
Ooh. That would be interesting.
Pretty much any gun with ricochet rounds, but Sleeper Simulant is the flip.
That's funny. I like it. I like it a lot. So is there anything from this card in particular that we learn about Saint or about his battle against the Vex? It's more lamenting, more about what's going on.
It's more. I feel like it's more of it's just like a general skirmish that he was like a small skirmish, and we don't really see a whole lot. When we think of Saint 14, we think of him in these big battles like Twilight Gap, and and his efforts to bring down the different houses. But in these small skirmishes, we really associate him, and him using linear fusion to take out this small group of Vex kind of makes sense.
I do find it interesting that Saint is sitting in here, and he's not only is he there's descriptions of what's going on, but he's also commentating on it.
Yeah,
it helps to set boundaries.
It helps to set boundaries.
I just want him to draw a line in the sand.
And then, like a literal line in the sand.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then like a Vex steps over and he backs up, draws number, then steps forward.
100%.
Now all I can think of is Saint 14 in the Alamo.
I mean, you don't want to forget.
No, you do not. No. The weapon chart. Never mind. Phrasing.
Yep. Help. Okay, so I'm going to take the next one because Blue's mid-match. And
this is true.
Currently, this map, I still can't decide if I like this map or not.
This map confuses me.
I
don't know what it's called. Confusion is what I call it.
This map is what replaced the... do you remember the map on Mercury that had B up on a high pedestal?
Yeah,
that was amazing. Yeah, that was my favorite map too. This replaced that, essentially.
Death from Above is what I called that map.
Right? Night Stalker's Paradise is what I call that. Such an easy map to just troll people with. Wombo combos. Fragment, that is correct, is the name of the map he's on. Alright, so I'm going to take Patron of Lost Causes, which is a scout rifle. And I'm excited to hear Blue's thoughts on this one after we get through it. So,
this is a fun one.
The flavor text says, there is a rough engraving on its side. Quote, in memoriam, end quote. My name is Saint 14. The speaker was my father. Guardians do not have true fathers. Some might say guardians do not have true family. We are born with no one but our ghost, and we find our way to something more. I was lucky to find my way to a family I chose for myself. I was drawn to the speaker because of the vision he had for the city. He helped me understand that we fight not for the sake of fighting, but for the sake of the people. He taught me to imagine a day where we might put down our weapons, and that reaching that day would be our greatest victory yet. I have worked for that day all my life. The speaker was a leader in this city. He was here at its formation. He helped establish the consensus. Most importantly, he was a figure that people could recognize and trust. Because of him, that is what I aspire to be as well. A familiar face who reminds people that they are safe, that they are taken care of. It is painful for me, and for all of us, that we could not be there during the speaker's last moments. As guardians, it is the nature of our long lives that we see many people die. We hope that through our service we can give them peaceful death. At the very least, we know that the speaker died bravely. We know that he died with the city, the people, and the traveler in his mind. We know that his last moments were a testament to everything the city stands for: bravery in the face of adversity, and dedication to our principles when faced with those who would do us harm. We cannot reclaim what we have lost. There will always be a void that the speaker once filled. We cannot replace him. But I hope someday we may find someone to continue his work. Father, I will miss you. I am sorry for the times that I failed you. I have been given a second chance, and I will use it to live up to the ideals you thought you saw in me. I will not let you down. Thank you. Eulogy for the Speaker of the Last City, given by Saint 14 on the day of the Speaker's memorial service. First thing, I'm glad they did a memorial service for him. That's kind of nice to hear.
Second of all, he was the memorial service given like well after he died?
Because Saint wasn't back.
Yeah, because Saint wasn't back.
Well, if you remember too,
retired to the tower.
Saint had a vigil as well.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if you think about it, they literally, I don't know if they did a secondary memorial or Saint was the one who organized the memorial.
It could have been. I was actually kind of thinking that it was the latter.
Mm-hmm. Because Saint would be the one who'd want to, at least.
Yeah, and honestly, Saint would. I think that it's not that the others wouldn't want to, but Saint would have the tenacity to actually be like, no, we are doing this, and he doesn't have any
he's
political,
not a vanguard leader.
He doesn't have any political points that he has to worry about
anymore. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think he ever did. Or sorry, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, even when he was the one day that he was a vanguard commander, he didn't even care about political points, because that's why Osiris was made commander, is because Saint 14 was like, I don't care. You care about the city. And he just basically was like, no, this is the person who's going to get it done. So, I mean, that's not I would argue that it's not an uncommon approach that Saint would take to just do what he thinks is right, which I mean that's part of his charm in a way too, is if he thinks that it's right, he goes and he does it.
It is nice that we get a confirmation that what in the world, like how his relationship with the speaker actually developed in some ways, and
and we know the history of it. The speaker was present when Geppetto found Saint. Right,
and we know that now, but back in D1, we had no idea about that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yes, yeah. So we got this is the second card that actually talks, or second entry that talks about their relationship, that clarifies their relationship.
Yes.
And just so I'm clear on this, Geppetto is Saint's ghost.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Which is amusing as all get out.
Yeah.
She also refers. Yeah, she also refers to all guardians as brother or sister.
I don't know. She reminds me of a sister. Blue, you know what I'm talking about as far as like sisters go.
Yeah, she
personality wise.
I would also argue that she is probably where Saint gets the Saint always has like that heavy religious overtones to the way he speaks. I think Geppetto is a large part of that. I think that because of the way Geppetto addresses everybody and because of the way Geppetto speaks to people, and then combine that with Saint's, very do-good attitude and his upstanding attitude.
Right.
I do also find the name just, I can't let this go. The
patron saint of
lost causes. That is actually Jude the Apostle in the Catholic faith. So it's and the thing that makes me smile about that is that Saint Jude, his attribute is a club, so which fits so well with Saint, like.
Which is also something. I mean, if I don't know,
he was blunt. He was extremely blunt. Is the thing? Is
yeah. But the thing I find interesting, as far as like not necessarily taking the Catholic route, but just the idea of what a patron saint is and how saints get named. Granted, in our world, it's a little different as far as like the church establishing it, right? But in here, the patron saint of a lost cause, if the speaker is the patron saint of a lost cause, what's the lost cause and why is it lost? Like, why is this continuing to be lost? Is it just a commentary on the fact that our vanguard has kind of lost their way and doing what they were supposed to be doing according to the speaker? I don't know. Does this card, am I reading too far into the naming conventions?
No, I don't think you are. Because remember our first encounter with Saint in the timeline. He viewed the city as a lost cause. He was giving up. He gave up on the city.
Gotcha.
We were the ones that broke the timeline because Ghost showed him the hologram of the city in our time, and Ghost basically was like, "You make your choice, but this is the city that we come from, that you are, that you helped build." And that's why, after that whole kind of development in the story, I kind of had a moment where I'm like, Saint always gets this thing about, oh, he has so much, he's so faithful and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, Saint was unforgivably optimistic because he knew.
We cheated.
He
cheated and told him.
Air quote. It wasn't faith. It was knowledge. He knew what was going to happen. Now,
I do think you still have to have a certain amount of faith to
right. And I was going to say that goes back to my infuriating question about the martyr. If you take away the martyr's death, is it still worth, like, is that still same thing? If you show a believer, what they believe in is true, does that negate their faith? I would argue it doesn't. But, Saint operated in this realm of not just faith, he knew what was going to happen. And so when he says that he's the patron of lost causes, I kind of read that as that's a nod to his doubting moment, because of that whole scene where we came in and he was furious. He had the huge, there was the huge comment about, he'd watched dregs eat children, and like he lost his hope.
Oh, yeah. And despair.
And then, right. Yeah. And at that part, and he even says that. He says, I have been given a second chance and I will use it to live up to the ideals you thought you saw in me. And I really do like this particular
It's
card.
interesting how he is allowed to see his own faults and recognizes it through it.
I think the other nice thing, and I know everyone kind of chuckles at it, but I think the other nice thing is, especially with the card that we have with Eva, he's such a nice young man. You see, I think Saint actually exists, or he actually does have a degree of legitimate humility.
Oh, yeah. I think he is an absolutely humble person, but I don't think that's necessarily who he's always been. He may have been more headstrong prior to our guardian showing him the way or whatever. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like we do get like the clips of him talking with Osiris at the city and stuff, and he does seem.
I mean,
he seems more deliberate. He's
also
not
the
a
comic.
rush.
Just saying.
Right. Well,
Like,
yeah.
Saint and Osiris
the
talking
argument.
via fight.
He's a Titan,
I
of
mean-
course. Of course, things get destroyed.
I just like how Osiris goes with it.
Right. Oh yeah. No. I mean, to a degree that I think that I don't think that was exclusive to Titans. I mean,
No.
when you have immortality, death means something different.
It only means you're.
It's like a handshake, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's how. I mean, if you look at
It's how you say hello.
If you look at the Hive, they do similar
Like,
things.
hello, Slam's head. It's like, hello.
No, I really do like. I mean, I like what you said too. Is that we get a confirmation that not only did they have a memorial for the speaker, but that Saint was able to experience that. He was able to, it's a very human thing, but he was able to have closure on that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's very important, because if he hadn't known about the Red War, that the speaker had died,
Mm-hmm.
who was going to tell him in the first place? Like, he needed to know.
Right.
Yeah. So here's something I want to know from your guys' perspective. We talked about in the card that Saint talks as if he knows exactly what happened at Speaker's death in some ways. In so much as he was he went out the way he did. Let's see here. Speaker's last moments.
At the very least, we know that the speaker died bravely.
Died bravely. Yeah. He died with the city, the people, and the traveler in his mind. Like, that, it's an assumption, but it's interesting that Saint has that much faith in the speaker. With as much faith as the speaker had in him, he also had that much faith back in the speaker, even though we learn kind of in that, what was the book with the speaker book? Confessions?
Mm-hmm. Constellations.
Constellations, thank you. That there are some doubts that the speakers have. Not necessarily doubtless or anything like that. That there is a curve to their endless enthusiasm, I guess, if you call it that. But, Blue, I know you are mid-map again. Do you want Grave or I to read it?
I can do, what is this?
Traveler's Judgment?
Yeah.
Or I guess it's Jack Queen.
Jack Queen.
It's
King,
Jack
right?
Queen.
Okay.
So this one, if you notice the weapons that have lore, they're either Saint 14 weapons or Osiris weapons. Just.
It's kind of interesting to know.
Side note.
So this one is one of the Osiris weapons from Curse of Osiris. Says, an army meets and stands and falls. 3 nobles wage their hopeless war. In shifting madness, evil crawls. One stands above the battle's roar. From the Journals of Ikora Ray. When I studied with Osiris, he would often tell me, I see failure in your future. No matter how hard I worked, no matter how strong I became, always, I see failure. I think what he saw was Io. When I lost my light and retreated from a ruined city, when I arrived on Io to find only silence, I too thought I had failed. Even after Gaul's defeat and the Traveler's waking, I told my friends I thought the Traveler had tested me and that I had failed its test. But now I'm not so sure. Perhaps what Osiris saw for me, what I experienced on Io, was simply that I needed help. That most human of conditions. I needed to be in a fire team and to be a fire team for others in turn. How like Osiris to see that and name it failure. I won't make that mistake again. This is whatever your feelings about A Curse of Osiris DLC was. I really actually like the lore entries for the entire
weapons.
Mostly because we get like this really cool poem that's going on throughout all of them.
The prophecies?
Yeah. Oh, like, because I think it's what Jack Queen King is the third one, and then there's like I can't remember what the other ones are, but there's 10 of them basically, and each
Right.
one has 2 lines, and so I really, and they're all really fun to say, um, but I also really like how she is. You can literally see the growth of her character in this
Mm-hmm.
entry.
Mm-hmm.
How she takes something that she had always perceived as a negative and as an attack on her person, and then she experiences what she experienced on Io, which was when she kind of lost her hope, and then she turns it, regardless of what Osiris actually did mean, because we still don't know what Osiris meant. But this is her interpretation, and she changes that interpretation. She changes her perception of what was said to make it into a positive thing for her.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I would reiterate, we don't know that that's what Osiris. I mean, Osiris could have seen something completely different, but
Right.
for
But her
her,
interpretation.
her interpretation is just. I really like when the entries play on giving the characters, that ability to take up their world in a way that gives them power over something that they didn't originally have power over.
It's a crucible of a different type.
Yes,
Crucible of their own emotions and
correct.
their own steadfastness, I guess would be a way to put
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's well, I mean, in a philosophical sense, it's a phenomenological process that you take information in and you interpret it in a way,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can, because you are the what's referred to in phenomenology as a co-creator of that reality. That also translates into, it's not a passive, like, you're not a passive observer, you are an active participant and a co-creator of that reality. And
Mm-hmm.
this is exactly what's happening in this entry. Is Ikora is growing to understand that she is not just, she doesn't just, it doesn't just act on her. She has a
Right.
voice of her own. She has the ability to make her world what she needs it to be, to allow her to exist in it. And I really like that, because you see, again, you see that growth in her character.
Nice. I think a lot of these entries are kind of pointing that direction about
Mm-hmm.
growth in characters. Gallant Charge, the fusion rifle. Grave, you want to jump on this one?
Sure, sure. The flavor text for Gallant Charge reads: "There's a brief moment before the clash that lives between fear and certainty. Push through." The lore tab reads as follows: "How did they find me? Every direction I turn, there they are. Beady, phosphorescent red eyes of the hobgoblins fill the darkness around. I look for cover, but more infernal machines saw in, blocking my path. I'm outnumbered. As my luck has run out. The ends closer in pairs. 2 by 2, they prepare to disintegrate me. There's still more to do. For heads to break. My weapon charges. Then I move." I get a very. I don't know if you guys read. The Dark Knight Returns, the graphic novel. Batman has a very similar, like, inner monologue kind of thing, uh, and that he's more concerned about the fight as a. One of my favorites is, like, there's 7 different defenses from position, 3 of them disarm, 3 of them kill, the
Mm-hmm.
other hurts.
That's pretty common in
And,
the Batman novels too.
yeah, yeah, it's a very similar kind of inner monologue kind of thing. Like, I'm thinking of this like a graphic, a bit from a comic. Uh, Gallant, the war tab from Gallant Charge would definitely be a good sort of descriptor of what he's doing on a page. It's a very action oriented.
I really like this flavor text because it has a double meaning for like the name of the weapon versus the flavor text, right? So the Gallant Charge. A Gallant Charge is like a heroic charge, right? It's a charge that you take against terrible odds. The flavor text, there's a brief moment before the clash that lives between fear and certainty. Push through. It's the charge through that, yes. But there's also a charging, as in like a fusion rifle charge, where you pull together that energy and you pull together that stick-to-itness and you push through that way. So there's an actual charge of gathering together before you actually move through as well. And you see that in here as in this actual entry where he takes a breath. I breathe in. My weapon charges, I breathe in, I move. It's that, okay, that intake of breath right before, making you get ready to go. Mm-hmm. Well, it's like going into any battle. It's funny because I play, like we were talking about in the last episode, I play a lot of Crucible, and there are moments where I will hear my teammates take a breath before they charge into a roam. Like they take an audible intake of breath because there's that, okay, bracing myself, be ready to go. So you get that double meaning there with that, which is kind of nice. Funny side note, I think that Saint 14 would be a more truthful storyteller about his exploits versus Shaxx. Just saying. Like, Shaxx, I feel would be like that boasting, like, I took on 3 women at the same time.
Well, do we
and
not
all,
remember,
I mean,
do you not recall that difference of storytelling was the source of Shaxx being not believing? You didn't die once?
Also, you have Shaxx and Saint's conversation at the end of Devil's Ruin mission, where Shaxx ends up having to sing. Like,
freaking hilarious.
Saint, way better storyteller.
I had no idea until after you listened to that previous episode you two did, where the tune Shaxx is singing is actually the main theme to Shadow.
And now
it is. I can't unhear it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Also,
I can't unhear it.
Fun fact: I've heard multiple Titans sing it.
That
is mainly Titans.
Not surprise me. Oh, it's their theme song now.
It is, and a Cheese Titan in particular.
It's an anthem.
Oh.
Rallying cry.
Anyway, all right. So we have one more weapon to go through as far as lore goes, and this is another Osiris weapon. This is Infinite Paths 8, the pulse rifle. There are a few other weapons I want to pull into this. I don't have into show notes here in a second, but this one I want to go through first. And this is one of the weapons that Blue was talking about earlier that has that very poetic, if you want to call them prophecies, if you want to call it Osiris's journal, Dear Diary, whatever. Osiris writes diary entries like Shakespeare writes diary entries.
Dear Diary, they sowed the first.
They sowed the first, now reap the last. Forever narrows to a line, where light will fade into the past. When all's converted, nothing shines. From the writings of Brother Vance. Oh, guess what? Brother Vance wrote that. Dear Diary, I miss Osiris.
No. The flavor text Osiris wrote.
Not knows me.
The flavor text is Osiris. From the writings of Brother Vance is the below.
Okay. Just Brother Vance.
Boy.
Here we go. You ready? Anyone can see that if they just truly look. Osiris preserve us. I am blind and I recognize the signs of his lost prophecies coming to bear. But none of us, not even his most faithful, have seen the things Osiris has seen. We in the lighthouse follow a man haunted by visions of apocalypse, yet doesn't turn away. Osiris doesn't close his eyes. He doesn't even blink. He put aside his vanguard duties, his students, his very life to bear this curse. And why? Because it is the only way to become strong enough to save you from the enemy. You and the city who condemn Osiris, who cast him out and curse his name, do you not understand that the prophecies are curse enough? Oh, Brother Vance. I cannot wait. I cannot wait till we do the trials and tribulations.
Oh,
Well,
God.
Yeah,
and just
because Vance has actually got some weight behind what he does.
he does, but he's still kind of he's easy to make fun of.
He is easy to make fun of. I will concede that, but I think that a lot of people dismiss him because of that, and I think that's a mistake.
Was he this easy to make fun of when we first met him in D1?
No, because we
No.
didn't have much. We didn't have much on him. I mean,
Also,
it's
the
hard,
tone
right?
changed.
Well, because a lot of
significantly.
people had opinions about where he was coming from that
Mm-hmm.
turned out to not be true. So I think there's a lot of misguided frustration at that too. Because I remember when that first got revealed, a lot of people were really upset about that, and it's like,
Right.
that was never specified. That was all assumption.
Vuru pointed out in chat, and I tend to agree with
Mm-hmm.
him, that the title of the expansion, Curse of Osiris, actually is called out in this card.
I would agree with that.
And because you have the curse of the prophecies in his mind type thing that's called out multiple times. I find that this card, this entry, this weapon seems there's not really a pattern with the weapons that they chose, but in some ways there are, because you have the Osiris weapons versus the Saint 14 weapons. And this one in particular is the one that kind of stands out as the oddball, because the other ones are all about the overcoming of things. And in some ways, Vance just seems to be trying to defend Osiris over and over and over again, which is typical Vance, but
right, but I don't want to spoil Trials and Tribulations,
yeah.
but that is very interesting given what is in Trials and Tribulations.
Correct.
That he is such, even now, such an adamant defender of Osiris. Given the ending of Trials and Tribulations, that is an explicitly, or yeah, it's a very, very interesting turn for Vance.
Mm-hmm. All right, Blue. I have one card I want you to read before you do.
Okay, what's up?
This one, the end of the story. Well, the end of one story, the beginning of the other.
So this is for Perfect Paradox. Flavor text is: a tale that's different from the rest, the thread unfurls against the clocks. The one the speaker loved the best must have a perfect paradox. I never found Osiris, but I've killed enough Vex to end a war, and they in turn struck a fatal blow. They completed a mind with the sole function to drain the light from me. It worked very well. Don't worry, not that you worry much. It took them centuries to build, keyed to the unique frequency of my light, and I sit atop its shattered husk. I mourn that I will never reach the heights you have. To me, you represent everything a guardian can become. Yours is a thriving city, so different from mine. My whole 14th life I fought to make my city yours. I never finished. All I have left is this weapon. The Cryptarchs say you crafted it yourself, built it out of scraps and light and sheer will inside the infinite forge. I'll make sure it finds its way back to you. When you gave it to me, I swore I would make it my duty to follow your example. I'm still trying. Saint 14.
Okay. So.
I love this card.
I love this card too.
I like it too. It's great.
But this card, I mean, it is a paradox card. It is absolutely continuing to be a paradox because we forge it back in Curse of Osiris / get it from Saint 14, but also give it back to Saint 14 last season during Season of Dawn.
Which we have to reforge it even if we still had it.
Right.
Small bone to pick. Small bone to pick with that.
I
But
literally brought it back from my collections.
right. That's what I was like. I'm like, oh, I still have this. I have this. Wait, what? Like I have to go retrieve it? Like, no, like it all seriously though. Like I understand why, but it was one of those like eye rolls of like, oh god, game mechanics.
Yeah.
Right.
Things.
It is kind of nice to see the moment, though, that they talk about in this card.
Yes. Well, and we get to see a couple different moments too.
Right. We see the moment where we hand him the weapon, because we're actually participating in that, which I found that was my favorite of all of Season of Dawn, was that mission. I played that mission multiple times, with as many people as I could convince to go in there with me, who had not run it, because it was a one-time mission, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you could not go back and do it again, but you could if you had somebody who hadn't finished it yet.
Or if you had a character that didn't do it yet, because it was one time per character.
So yeah, I loved that mission. It was a lot of fun. It kind of set the tone for the season, I thought, really well. But you get that moment of us handing him the gun and basically reestablishing his faith in Guardians, right? That's the whole point of that one.
Yeah, and he becomes the patron saint of lost causes.
And then he becomes kind of the legend that we follow in some ways, who somehow followed us. We're just the dog chasing its own tail at this point, right?
Yeah, it's a yeah. This is why I hate time travel.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you want to get really meta about this, Saint 14 kind of presents Bungie in a way, and how we look up the Saint is kind of like how we, the players, look at Bungie in a certain way. And the Saint has this whole thing about how we inspired him in a similar way. We inspire Bungie.
It's true. It's true. True.
I don't know. It's kind of a weird parallel. I kind of
no, but I mean, it's an accurate thing, because I mean, and you can make that argument with any community. I mean, any community, really. You know. But I think that's a fair thing, and I think that also really does a service to explain the sense that in game a lot of, or the Guardian would probably have towards Saint 14 upon the revelation of what we learned, was like, you know, this thing, and even Ghost kind of voiced it too. He's like, you know, this is Saint 14, like this is, you know, this is the Saint 14. You know, you see that with Eva as well. And again, it was just that thing where it was the realization, you know, never meet your heroes kind of thing. It's like, well, not only did we meet our hero, no, we found out that we inspired our hero to become our hero. You know, it's that, oh, you're the hero of the city because of something we did. Not something, you know, and I think that's something there as well.
It is a nice thing. I did not put in any of the exotic quest weapons, because we had Devil's Ruin, we had Symmetry, there was one more. Bastion. Oh gosh, I am so not liking that gun right now.
Everyone sleeps on Bastion, but
everybody's using Bastion.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
it's like a scrub.
Bastion, Symmetry, and Devil's Ruin technically in Season 9.
Right, and Devil's Ruin was a really fun quest. A lot of people gave Bungie grief for that one. I actually kind of enjoyed the laid-back quest. A little
I
bit.
liked it too. But I felt that it was missing a step. Like if we had like an additional step where we had to maybe complete a few strikes, maybe do a few matches,
Sure.
Crucible or Gander or something, then maybe like leading up to it, maybe I'd be better with it. But I'm fine with what we got. Plus,
As
Devil's Ruin is a pretty neat sidearm.
right. As far as lore tie-ins to that, here's my question slash theory going into it. We had two weapons. Devil's Ruin makes sense. That is literally a sidearm fallen type thing. Saint 14 was known to be the guy who went after all the fallen. He took out lots and lots and lots of fallen before he went and took out lots and lots of X. That was what he was known for. But the Bastion is Saint's weapon as well. That also gets a lot of description, but symmetry. How much of symmetry is tied into Saint 14 versus symmetry, the philosophy, symmetry, the
Ulantan.
mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking about. I think symmetry is a pretty on time thing.
But like that being pulled into this season in particular, granted it was a weapon that was not tied to any of the quests that I remember. Like it was just a weapons quest that dropped. There was not a themed season quest.
It was part of the season pass.
Right.
Like,
but
if you were part of the season pass, like you instantly just got it.
That guy was real thirsty for you, Blue. Oh, you emoted on him. Rude. Rude.
Dude, I dodged a Sentinel
saw
Titan
that.
super enough and then had a punch out with a Titan and won. Yes, I emoted on him.
Flippy knife.
I'll give you that one.
I was so scared. I was like, he's going to kill me.
If I was in this match, I would have been like, yep, I'm going to respect that. I'm going to respect that. And then I'm going to do the same to you once I
Oh, yeah, no, that's totally, turnabout's totally fair play.
Mm-hmm. But, okay, we should wrap up. Just any final thoughts on the topic of the weapons for this season? Any final theories that we are getting into before we close out?
I think we did a pretty good job talking about like season 9 especially. Like there's a lot of things that were explained for Saint that dealt with a lot of questions that we've had. I mean, Bungie did a really good job with season 9 or Season of Dawn in addressing a lot of open-ended questions that we've had for a very long time concerning Saint and his relationship with various different figures. Now that being said, that could possibly be, I don't remember off the top of my head the lore entry for Symmetry, but that could maybe be a nod to that connection that you're talking about, Green, is, Ulantan did technically exist around the same time. So it could be. And again, that's me just kind of trying to spitball there because I don't remember.
Did Andal Brask exist around the same time?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yes. Andal was.
He wasn't.
Not
at the time of Saint 14. That was
Well, no, he
Tallulah.
was at Tallulah. Fairwind was the Vanguard, but
right.
Andal was probably around.
Oh,
he just wasn't a Vanguard mentor.
Tallulah has some strong words about Andal. So I mean, he was definitely around and known.
Okay, so it was Tallulah, Saint, and Osiris that were the Vanguard of their time, basically.
It was oh gosh, I used
Saint
to know this all the time.
Osiris, Tallulah, Fairwind.
Well, it was Saint.
Saint was commander of the Vanguard, the Titan Vanguard.
Yeah, he was the Vanguard commander, and then he gave that title to Osiris when he stepped down.
So we didn't have a Warlock Vanguard.
So they had Saint, Osiris, and Tallulah. And then Saint after one day, Saint stepped down because he was doing something. He went on I think that's when he went on his crusade against the Fallen. He passed the title of commander to Osiris. Zavala was put in place, and then when Osiris was exiled, the title was shifted to Zavala. And because Osiris was exiled, I'm not sure. I think that was a vote of the consensus that it moved to Zavala. Because that's when Ikora was also brought in. And then at that time, I'm trying to think, I don't think Tallulah was still Vanguard at that point. I think that was also, Tallulah had already died? Because didn't Tallulah die in the
All the
hunt?
hunter. She had to die before Andal took charge.
Okay.
Why are hunters never made Vanguard commander? I'm just gonna let that question. I'm just gonna let that question sit there for a second.
Nope.
Go read Tommy's matchbook, and you will understand why there is not a Vanguard commander that's a hunter.
Lord.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So glad that we're winding down.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Anyway.
Prayer requests, shoutouts.
I'm gonna shout out my friend AJ. I don't know if he's still around. He might have dropped off because it's getting kind of late. Ryan, he's also been listening. Hey Ryan. Also my clan, Moon Cowboys. I already shouted them out in the last episode. But they're chill. Look us up on Bungie, on Moon Cowboys. We got a Discord server that we use to organize our various activities in. We don't raid a whole lot, but when we do, it's really fun. We do nightfalls, we do trials, we do all sorts of stuff. And that's really about it. And I also want to shout out my friends in a separate group, Vault. This is all part of the same group that AJ and Ryan are in. Vault, Vinyl, Dice Master, everyone in Haven, my Skype group. They've been my rock years and years and years.
Cool.
And I wouldn't have anywhere near an internet footing that I have without them. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So I have two shout outs. First and foremost, shout out to, and I totally just blanked on one of them, but the other one I absolutely have at the front of my head. Shout out to Sleep. No, shout out to Introverted Tenacity. Because the situation and everything, just being an introvert, it already makes it a little easier and steadfast. So be the rock for the extroverted people in your lives. Be that voice of reason. It's a thing. Both Blue and I are married to extroverts.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a stressful couple of weeks. So Introverted Tenacity for the win. And then second shout out actually goes to a Bungie dev. Whoever the Bungie dev that created the green glasses emotes, thank you for making the green-eyed music lover emote. I love you. It is my trials preview emote. I put on the green sunglasses, and even better, not just the green sunglasses putting on. It has a remove the sunglasses, and you do a nice little nod to the person in front of you. It is amazing.
Nice.
Thank you. I am green-eyed music lover, and I have green sunglasses, and I am never taking them off. Blue.
I just want to say thank you to Current Events for teaching me that my lifestyle is called quarantine. I think that's probably been one of my favorite memes to have come out of this whole debacle
situation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is I saw that and I'm like, yeah, that's a 100% accurate to my realization to this entire event. Everyone, but no, and just a big shout out to everyone who's taking the time to be mindful of what's going on and to be careful and stay safe, because of those of us who are not able to safely wander around. They really appreciate it. I know I've seen a lot of chatter on Twitter and also in some Discords that I lurk in about people who are immunosuppressed or are under medication for that it suppresses their immunization systems. It's those people that we're trying to help. When they talk about flattening the curve and stuff like that. So big shout out to everyone who's being mindful of that. Other than that, I really just, want to say again, if you guys need anything from any of us on the Focus Fire team, we are always in our Discord server. If you want to private message us there, or if you feel like you are more active on Twitter, feel free. I know I have my private messages open. I know Green does too.
Yep,
Okay.
you can DM me.
I'm like, I think Green does. I don't know. But
social distancing hipsters, we are absolutely that black flag. We have got it.
I resent the term, but yeah,
Hipster?
I can't argue with it.
Just say we were doing it before.
Dude, I was keeping away from you before it was cool to keep away from you. Okay,
I mean, all of my strongest friendships are through the internet, so I don't know what you're talking about.
You're all imaginary people.
I
mean, not wrong.
You're all just words on a screen.
Oh man, well,
how's it feel?
Okay.
So, anyways, thank you for your time, and until next time, remember: with wisdom we conquer. Stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring.
See ya.
You could be catfishing me right now.
All right. So, Grave, go ahead and export the file you have to a WAV format, if you can. And then Blue will drop. Yep, he will drop the link in the chat when he has it available. And at maybe next death, maybe that recluse gets some, or hard light. I guess it's a hard light.
Nope, it didn't, because that guy apparently has shit aim.
Potato thumbs. Okay, let me get this saved.
Okay, I am currently exporting. It's gonna be a while.
Yeah, it generally does take a bit. You're gonna be. I'm gonna keep you, Blue, and I will both keep you in the chat until we get the files. Or if you can't, if the file doesn't get uploaded or anything like that, just let us know. Or like,
how am I gonna go about uploading a file?
It'll be a Google folder, a Google Docs folder. You'll be able to upload it to.
Okay. Just link me to that folder now.
Yep, he's gonna just put that link in the chat that we're in on Discord, and then yep, it's there now. And then the other thing we need from you before you run off is this.
Where? Oh no! Ow! That's very rude.
I would definitely love to do this again. This was fun.
Yeah, it's fun to do these. Like I said, just keep an eye out for when I've got call out for the next round of scheduling, and definitely hit me up, and I will get you in again. Where is audio? Why is everything out of order? My computer. There it is.
I don't know.
Okay, the exporting is almost done.
Sweet. Yeah. And then you'll upload. Yes. And to your question in chat, that is a yes.
Oh, that's a golden gun.
Because we're going to send you something physical.
Oh, okay. I'll send it to you as a private message.
Yeah, you can, if you want to send it to me in a Twitter message, if that feels, because people come in and out of this chat?
I have it set so people can't see it.
Okay, can't see the private.
I'm gonna
No.
put some of the through
That-
Discord.
Sounds great. I can get it to blue that way, and we'll get that out to you.
Yeah, I have that. I have the chat server set up so that when new people come in, they can't see the history. Oh no!
I'm still gonna message you anyway.
Where did you go?
No worries.
Come here.
Blue. What number is this?
198.
198. Oh man, we've almost hit the big 200.
Yes, the Osiris update's gonna be 200.
Oh, that's fitting.
I totally did not actually design it that way, but I will take it. Oh, you
Hey.
bastard! Oh!
Jotun. Oh, Blade Barrage.
Oh,
That's what
yeah,
that was.
dancing. So I'm interested to see where that's going to go, because that's not the only time we see it. Trials and Tribulations has a couple of, or it has a Guardian who does a similar thing, which I have kind of a weird theory about that particular Guardian. But yeah, the God, what's her I think it's is that the Warlock? I think it's the Warlock that you're talking about. Yeah, there's some interesting yeah, it's a Voidlock. Yeah, 5. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one with Taylor on it too. Oh! Arrow to the face! Fuck off! Yeah, I want to say Yara was her name. I have her on the list. Yeah, she was not nice. Give me a second. I can tell you.
Where the hell did I save this thing?
I still need to drag you through 0 hour, don't I, Blue?
I still need to do 0 hour.
Yes.
Do it now. It's super easy.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if they have it fixed yet, but it should be super, super, super easy once you get through the jumping puzzle, because all the enemies are way lower light level.
Oh.
So cool.
Sola.
Awesome.
It's Sola Scath.
Sola?
Was the Voidlock that did the she basically renounced her title as Guardian and walked away after Saint 14 told her off.
I'm sorry, I need to figure. I was trying to figure.
Cool.
But that's,
I freaking love Orchid. I hope she's still in chat and hear that. Check your Twitter, Blue.
Oh no.
By the way, I am going to go ahead and dip and
Stream.
jump
You
over
guys
to-
have a great night. We will see you next week.
Yep.
I'm still trying to find